Blasted through it.
Second best Marvel Netflix show.
Second. I think third best.
Yeah.
Iron Fist.
That's actually his first.
Yeah.
No Kilgrave.
Me and Dylan actually like Iron Fist a lot more than other people though, dude.
Yeah.
Everyone on the internet fucking hates that show. We're just like, oh, that's fine.
I like
Colleen. No, it's got some stuff going on.
Colleen. I gotta move closer to Taylor. Great.
Yeah, nice.
It's all about that Ward Meacham. He made the show, you know.
Ward Meacham. Wow.
Wow.
Meacham. I didn't like him that much.
Yeah.
Of course you wouldn't.
I'm sure you wouldn't.
Did you guys like him?
I loved him. He was actually like my favorite part of it. Yeah.
And Harold Meacham was great.
Harold, yeah, those two.
Meacham. He's a good actor. He was in Van Helsing.
He is a good actor. That's why I liked him. I know his character. I know his character's kind of a piece of
Van Helsing was a great film when I was a child.
Fantastic.
I loved it.
One of Hugh Jackman's
Some people
favorites.
don't grow up.
Oh,
God.
What? Actually, one more move and then we're good to go.
Oh my God, Travis.
Do you want me to make sure you're in there, Dylan?
I can just.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll just get my foot in there so I'm constantly in the frame.
Are we ready to go, folks?
Always.
Do your socks say "Be cool"?
They say be cool, and on the other foot they say man.
You know what?
I'll show the fans.
I'm getting sick and tired of every time I say, "Are we ready?"
Okay, well you're the one who stood up on like 5 occasions to move the camera. Everyone knows you didn't move the camera. You're just fucking around, wasting time.
Oh yeah, that's it. I'm not trying to make a great podcast happen.
Start the podcast.
Welcome to episode 158. I was totally wrong. It wasn't 59 this morning.
Oh, shit.
158. It's all good. 158. It's Friday night. GeekVerse is back, and that's all right.
Hey.
My name, is the Clown Prince of Podcast. Trust me, I'm using it well. It's topical. We're gonna be talking a lot of DC action.
Yeah,
it's
cool.
juicy, flavorful.
Juicy. Yeah.
I'm the Taylor Front Field.
What?
Okay, that was good. Really good. I think that's your best name yet,
Is
actually.
that because Battlefront?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's your best name because it worked. It worked. It flowed well. And like sometimes I feel like you have a nickname, but you kind of trip when you're trying to say it. But that one just went so beautifully.
He's been working on it for
Good job,
weeks,
Taylor.
that's why.
Literally 3 weeks.
Wow.
There you go.
I am the Savage, Kirkland Patsy.
Ooh.
I'm the Gecko, Tyler Briggs.
Are you sponsored by Geico now?
Yeah.
Can they sponsor the whole podcast?
That'd be
Or just
great.
you?
Said
Not just
Geico,
me,
though.
unfortunately.
You didn't even
I
say
couldn't
it
work
right.
out a better deal right now.
I'm the ad hoc caster, Dylan Musk.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of GeekVerse Podcast. Plugs out of the way first. We don't have. I guess we have some stuff remote coming up. What? Plugs?
Plugs.
I just keep going.
Okay. You can check out, we have a Justice League review out there. We're going to talk a little about Justice League in a second, but we have that long, nice 2-hour review. Me and Dylan did a Punisher review. Hunka's back there telling you why Justice League's better than Thor Ragnarok.
It was a wild episode.
It was quite.
I almost couldn't make it through the whole thing.
It was quite the episode.
Yeah.
And then coming up in the next few weeks. Next week is, I guess we're kind of kicking off Star Wars. We did a Star Wars Force Awakens commentary track a long time ago.
Yes.
Patreon fans have been getting that, so head over to Patreon and get that for content like that in the future. But if you haven't been, next week, myself, Dylan Taylor, we did a commentary track to the 2015 hit Star Wars Force Awakens. So that's coming out. Then the week after, we'll be doing a watch-along with the Game Awards. I don't know who will be there, but there'll be a collection of us there. See who's award Game of the Year, blah, blah, blah. There'll be some game announcements, so that'll be fun. Then we're dropping a commentary track of The Room. Disaster Artist is coming out, so it is a great.
It's mostly
I just saw Taylor's grin.
Dylan hasn't seen it. Taylor and I are big fans. If you're a fan of the film community, you know it's maybe the worst movie of all time, but it's pretty good. And then after that will be Last Jedi. So we got a full December coming up. Marvel retrospective is starting next week for non-Patreon people. So again, all the plugs out of the way, so at the end we don't have to do it. But now we're gonna get into the news, unless anyone has anything to say.
No objections.
I don't know.
No objections.
We start with movie and TV news, and then we'll move over to gaming news. We'll let you know. So let's start with movie news. DC has had quite a ruckus week. Justice League came out last
It's
week.
been a ruckus couple of years, I would say.
Yeah, pretty much since 2013. So we're gonna talk a lot about DC in maybe like this first half an hour. So if you're not a fan of DC, you don't care, then maybe you can skip ahead. But I think it's gonna be a worthy, good conversation. There's lots to talk about.
And if you're not a fan, maybe we'll trash talk him a little bit, and then you'll feel justified. So stick around either way.
So I could see this conversation having minor spoilers about Justice League, but this isn't going to be like a Justice League review. It's talking about more of what happened with the movie and the future. Yeah. So Justice League came out. It opened at 94, which was like double below expectations because it was like they're like, oh, it's going to be like 120 and then 110. It opened at 94 million. To put that in perspective, people that don't know, BVS was 166, Squad was 129, Wonder Woman was 103, and then Justice League was 94. So you can see there's a downward trajectory. Wonder Woman's a bit different because it had a uniqueness of every week it kind of held and always had a strong number, so it ended up making a lot of money. But this is obviously not even just like DC hardcore fans, but with a lot of fans in general. There's been a lot of discussion of where do they go from here? Because the movie is mixed, in my opinion. Lots of people on Twitter try to tell me, no, it's not mixed. People love it. It's mixed. I know 7 people that have seen it. No one's been like, this is great. And even people that do see it, they're like, yeah, it's fun. It's a good time, but it's nothing special. You know, like I think it's the definition of mixed. So I don't know who wants to take this ball first, because honestly we've talked a lot about DC, but I don't think I would have ever thought in a million years that this was open lower than the first Guardians, lower than Thor. My biggest one for me is it opened lower than It, a fucking rated R clown movie. You know, like with these movies, it's very strange to me that I always thought no matter what, it's gonna have a big opening. It could continue to make money, but there's also reports that it could lose 50 to 100 million for the company. So we'll see that in the coming weeks. Like Thanksgiving weekend's big for movies, so it could have a big thing there, but I don't think it will because the response is kind of a little out there. So,
well, something I guess for Justice League is you have to account a lot of the budget is, you know, you have a lot of people in this movie and you have some bigger actors as well. Whereas if they go back or they're just making like a simple movie with like kind of just about one character,
Wonder Woman per se.
Yeah, exactly. Those movies. I mean, I don't really know budgets all that well, but I imagine that's a hell of a lot cheaper than making Justice League. And obviously, Justice League had to do a bunch of reshoots and all this, that, other thing, so it's like added costs afterwards that they didn't factor into the budget originally.
And I guess I can pose this question, and I think you guys will have similar answers to me, but this has been the biggest debate the whole week is why do you think it is performing so poor at this moment? So we don't know what's happening this weekend, Thanksgiving weekend, people are out of school, so hey, maybe it'll come out, but right now Coco's still beating it. So I'm sorry people, maybe you should, you know, just get ready for that opening weekend. I don't know, it looks good, I can't wait to see Coco, but why would you guys, in your opinion, what is the reasoning for it not doing as well as the other ones and being much below expectations?
Well, I think one thing, at least from people who don't really keep track or know what's going on in these movies, if you just see a trailer, you might not be too excited because you have Ben Affleck, and I feel like Ben Affleck's kind of mixed. Like, there's a lot of people who don't like him for whatever reason.
Well, I also
outside of DC, just like generally.
Well, I feel like too, even if you did like every week you're getting a headline of it, like, oh, is he staying? Is he going? So people are like, oh, like, why should I go see this Batman if he's gone next year or something like that, right?
Right. And I guess Batman and Superman are your two big characters that most people know, and Superman is nowhere to be found in these trailers. So those casual people who don't know that he'd be in this movie still, they don't know he's there, right? So they might not be interested in going to this for that reason alone. And like the other actors, like Gal Gadot's good, and the guy who plays Flash, you think he's good in other things.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say he's popular. I don't think people see him like, oh, Ezra. I don't think people know who the fuck is.
Yeah, I forgot his name. Not many people know attention to this stuff.
Yeah. Like, Kirkland, before you go, I want to throw a review because you were not on the review. And Taylor, I guess you can go next.
Have you seen it?
I put you in the back. But these two have seen it and they have said, so actually tell us, like, if you liked it or your thoughts on it, and then why do you think it did a little, I'd say, below expectations?
Me personally, I thought it was better than I was expecting because I kind of got a glimpse of your guys' review, like, before the spoilers and everything, and I was like, oh dear. Like, this is just gonna be like Squad almost, like, really bad. Like, Travis gave it a failing score. But when I went there...
Spoilers!
I thought it was similar to BVS. I think I liked it a little bit more than BVS, but then there was times where I hated it, and it was just like you said, it was totally mixed. Like, I was trying to sleep on, like, the score that I was giving, because last night I was feeling like somewhere around 7, and then today I'm feeling like a 6.7, so a couple points down.
That's not bad.
That's not bad at all.
Yeah, like, there's scenes that I really liked, scenes that I really didn't like, and I felt like the humor was super cringy at times and just super cheesy. But then there's like
Did you like how do you feel about the Flash? We talked a lot about the Flash.
Like, how much of his jokes look like?
Yeah, percentage. We did
like
what percentage of his jokes worked for you?
Oh,
we did that.
Just roughly.
Yeah.
Not expecting to keep 10.
I'll say around like 20-30%.
Okay, yeah. It's always low, it seems.
Okay, yeah.
My
girlfriend loved him though. Like she loves that actor.
Lots of people do like Flash though. I've seen that a big
really,
People think he's the standout, and I'm like, well, I don't know if he's standout for the right reasons.
Yeah.
But
for me, like, Aquaman, he was awesome. I love that. And then like the scene with like Wonder Woman's whip when he was just like going off. I thought that was like the funniest part of the whole movie, honestly.
Yeah.
But
actually a Zack Snyder scene as well, not a Whedon scene. Lots of people thought it was Whedon scenes. That's a Zack Snyder scene. So that's also the problem with having the two directors. People have been like, oh, like same thing. I kind of thought that opening scene with Batman and the Paradiddle felt like a Zack Snyder scene. That's a Joss Whedon scene. And then I thought of it like, oh, I guess with the burglar and everything, like it being a bit more comedic. But
well, since you liked Aquaman, I thought he was good too, but I felt that out of all the cast, he like had the least amount of screen time. That kind of surprised me. You feel the same
I
way?
agree with you. Yeah, there's a lot of scenes where he was just kind of like
chilling.
Yeah, no, literally.
He's fighting off in the background.
He was literally
Throwing his
chilling.
hair around.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like there is like he really doesn't do much. I felt.
I just almost wish they downplayed him in the trailers because
in the trailers,
because in the trailers he feels like he's in it a lot.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So then Kirkland.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, just even like plot wise, you would think with like Atlantis that he might have a bigger role, but not so much.
Not today. And then
Not today.
Hey, he gets his own movie next year, right? They're like, oh, whatever,
Sure,
you'll
fair
get
enough,
that.
fair enough.
So, and then what are your thoughts on it maybe not doing the best right now?
I'm not too sure, honestly. I was thinking about this, and like in my opinion, like going into it, I figured it would have done like pretty good actually, because like it is like a big ensemble of like these characters, and they're all coming together, similar to like Avengers, right? Like people love seeing them all come together into a movie like that. So I was.
They used that song, "Come Together."
Yeah, yeah, they did.
Especially off like the high of Wonder Woman.
Yeah, exactly. Like I honestly thought it was gonna do like at least better than
or on
BVS.
par with.
Like I thought it was gonna be
least
similar to BVS, honestly.
BVS,
yeah. So that's a little surprising how you're saying like why it would have done so bad. Dylan mentioned like the Superman like lacking in the trailers. I feel like he would have been like a big keynote.
Yeah. A lot of people have said that too.
Yeah.
I feel that,
But like I really like I don't know. Yeah, I just was curious.
Taylor, you've been quiet over there. I feel like you're formulating a lot of thoughts going on. So give us your overall impression of the movie because you weren't there for the review.
My overall impressions were I walked out content. I feel like I...
That's
you walked out.
That's not what you said after the movie.
I walked out.
You said it was awesome.
Yeah, it definitely was pretty good. But I put a lot more thought into it after.
Taylor, if you liked it, that's fine. Okay, you don't have to.
Like,
you don't have to lower your score.
He doesn't want the DC hate going on.
Oh, we're gonna get to the DC hate.
We will. Yeah.
I really did enjoy it. But since then, after watching your guys' review, it definitely made me kind of rationalize a lot of things with the movie.
Apparently, our review wasn't that good though. If you ask Podbay. You know, not a good review. Yeah.
Especially Tyler.
Yeah, Tyler brought the review.
No, I think that, I mean, some of the characters and stuff, I think it was awesome. Ever since you said you didn't want Batman to be, like, quipping jokes and stuff like that, that stuck with me, and I really didn't like that about the movie.
Made a lot of jokes.
I feel like I want him to be
funny guy,
dark and depressed and, like, borderline... like upset.
Borderline upset.
Not depressed and borderline upset.
Not upset, but borderline. So he's almost upset.
That's amazing.
That was awesome.
But not too upset.
I feel like there was just so much going on that at the end of the day it didn't really make me care too much what was going on, but I feel like, you know, I love The Flash. I feel like 99.9% of all his jokes. 99%.
I thought you were going to go 90. Like, okay, that's a good Taylor score. But what was the one? What was the .1 that didn't work for you? What was the one joke like? I don't know.
I bet it was the one joke that I liked. Because we're just the opposite.
I feel like it was like when they were. It was the part where they were like, "Oh, I just pushed some people and like run away." Like I knew that was coming, so it didn't really like make me laugh because I saw it in the trailer.
So that's why, because he saw in the trailer.
But like, I don't know, like the joke where he's like digging up the body of Superman, I thought, you know, I think that's so freaking funny. I think that's really funny and clever because it seems like something you'd say. And like, even though you are the Flash, you wouldn't want to like disrespect him by superly quickly doing it. But I mean, the one major problem I had was the fact that as soon as Superman came in, he just dominated the whole show. I hate that because in Batman vs Superman, the fighting.
Okay, I was gonna say
Batman vs Superman. At least there was like a climactic ending, and it had this so much build up, and Superman actually had to really put in some effort to fight Batman.
There's no chance Batman's beating the Superman.
Well, it's just in this, it was just like Steppenwolf is the leader of like a multi-dimensional army, and at the end of the day, Superman only has his powers heightened because he grew up I'm assuming he grew up on Earth. He's an alien, so growing up on Earth, the gravity just amplified like his senses. That's all he has as an edge.
They didn't say the movie, so you're just doing the classic Taylor like.
Yeah, but in Man of Steel, I just feel like that's what it was. When he was growing up on Earth, they showed his senses heightened
from the sun.
You don't also think that maybe the mother box, like him getting rebirthed by that, could maybe amp his powers.
Yeah, he was summoned in Doomsday's juice.
Yeah,
I guess so, but at the end of the day, wouldn't you think the daughter of a god?
The daughter?
A daughter of a god?
Wait, yeah, but he's Superman,
Wonder
you know? Yeah, Wonder Woman. Yeah.
I feel like
I'm stepping on
Whoa! I feel like an
Stephanie Wolf, actually.
An actual god would have much more of an effect on than an alien would on a multi-dimensional being.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like I won't lie, when I saw like the Green Lanterns flying over and that whole intro war scene, I was losing my shit. I was like, this is awesome. Here.
I said minor spoilers. You talk about the grave digging, you talk about this, you talk about the fighting. You're just kind of just going into full spoilers.
And to top it off, I won't lie though, even though the whole movie was like, but like, whoa, at times, like,
what a review.
Yeah.
The whole movie's like,
what a roller
coaster.
The end scene where Deathstroke waltzes out there.
Oh my god! That's like the most spoilery thing ever. Yeah. I have to add a tag now at the beginning of this podcast now. Just fuck.
That scene blew my mind. I'm excited to see where they go with it. If they go with it.
Well, I don't know if they're gonna go anywhere with it, because what do you feel about why do you feel? Because you've liked, other than for you, Man of Steel, you've liked all these movies. There's movies in this franchise you've given it a 10 out of 10, named Suicide Squad. So how did you feel about it doing the lowest so far out of the movies?
I mean, I think there just wasn't any hyper excitement for this movie. I mean, to be honest, like I got my ticket for free off of a cereal box.
Yeah, but you would have gone anyway. What does that have to do with anything?
Yeah.
But I mean, there wasn't.
This is awful.
there wasn't hype. Like when it was coming close to the day of Justice League, I really literally told myself like, I don't know if I feel like I really want to go, but I gotta go for the DC fans. But I mean, that being said, I came out satisfied and excied.
Good feeling to have.
It was a very good feeling to have.
Must be nice. Borderline upset. Borderline upset.
That's the title of this episode, by the way. Borderline upset. Tyler Briggs, you've already reviewed the movie, so what did you feel about this news of it not doing the greatest?
The numbers.
I was a little surprised at first, but now that I thought about it more, it makes sense. I think we talked about it earlier, I feel like almost a month ago, but DC's kind of reached that point where they're no longer critic-proof, as the term goes.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I think for a long time they have been critic-proof, especially with what Nolan did with the Batman trilogy, and people were like, "Oh man, DC's just making great films."
Yeah, they
no matter what, it's gonna be good.
Yeah.
And also they could kind of build off the hype that Marvel had. There's like comic book movies are great overall.
Thor came out and lots of people saw it.
Yeah, so I think they had a lot going for them and a lot of momentum carrying them forward. But with flops like BVS, Squad, and Wonder Woman, I'd say Wonder Woman was good, but I feel like it wasn't like super high tier, and so people have got to the point where they're going to be a lot more wary about going to a DC film. And then on top of that, I was just thinking about, I feel like the trailer didn't pander to a large audience and sort of like a more casual general audience. It was I personally felt the trailers were pretty cool as a comic book fan, and just I thought the action was cool, but I feel like for a lot of people, all they saw in the trailers was a lot of CGI and a lot of like fight scenes, but no development, no plot really. And I think if a comic book movie, and DC specifically, they want to get an audience from a trailer, they need more plot, more development in the trailer to kind of get them hooked. Because people are to the point with DC where if they just see CGI fight scenes in the trailers, they're like, I don't need to see that. I can just go watch a Marvel something. Because they're going to have maybe some CGI fight scenes, but they're actually going to be good compared to what DC's come up with recently. So that's it's maybe like at the start it's a little bit of a shocker, but with further thought,
it's not that big of a shocker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, 2 things for us to plug. It's Black Friday week. You can go to TeePublic, get your shirts. You know, I'm wearing the original shirt right now. It's classic GeekVerse shirt. Go get the Wolf Order shirt. What's that about? You won't know until 2018, but you know what? You should get it. Be cool, because when you get it, you're gonna feel real cool.
How on sale? Like, what's the percentage off? Because I might buy one.
I think they're all like, I don't want to say 50. Go to tpublic.com or something like that. But like, I think there is
Sold.
like a shirt that's $22. That's 14 ducks. You know.
14 ducks.
Oh yeah, you gotta ship them ducks.
14 ducks.
Very cool.
Yeah, so go pick that. I forgot to throw that on the plug. So, I guess for me, I always do this. So this is a Travis classic. I'm like doing a little analogy for this, and this is how I feel about Justice League and like the box office and everything like that. Because I really do feel that these guys have brought a lot of good points, and everyone has brought out similar points or different points about like marketing and, you know, CGI fights and this and that, and trailers, because some people thought they were awful trailers. For me, I think it just comes down to the quality and the foundation that it was built on. Because if you look at Man of Steel, now this is the thing, Tyler, you really like Man of Steel, Jessica really likes Man of Steel. I know people that like that movie. But the thing is, if you look at movies that were spun off from a cinematic universe that tried to, you had The Mummy that tried this year. Failed, did not do good critical reception, money not the greatest, and like pretty much just sounds like it's dead now, right? Ghostbusters last year was like, oh, we're going to do this for them, we're going to do male Ghostbusters, and all going to cross over, dead on arrival. Green Lantern was the same thing a couple of years ago. We're like, this is going to be, they didn't outright announce it like they do nowadays, but there was rumblings like, oh, if this movie hits, this is going to be the kickoff for the new thing. And same thing, didn't make the greatest money, and it was not mixed. That one was much worse. So with Man of Steel, that was a movie that didn't hit the money they want to. Still was a great chunk of change, and it was very mixed. You go around the mails, it's 55. Everyone I've met, that was the OG divisive comic book movie. You either love that movie or you hate that movie. Up until a certain point, that was the only movie I knew Taylor Field did not like was Man of Steel. And that shows you how mixed it is, because up until Jigsaw, he loves every single movie made on mankind.
Made on mankind.
Yeah,
Wow.
I don't know. But, so, the thing is, the reason I think they kept going was they saw what Marvel was doing with Avengers and whatnot. We've talked about this with other stuff. I think they did rush, and they wanted to get there, and what was their direct result after Man of Steel was, you know, mixed was, let's throw Batman in there right away, you know, and then they had Batman in there, and they had Wonder Woman, and they killed Superman off in the second movie, and that's like, the third movie in this is going to be Justice League. Yeah, Wonder Woman and Squad are mixed in there, but really, for Justice League to only come out a year after BVS is still kind of crazy to think, in my opinion, you know? So, the thing was, they built a foundation on something that was super rocky. I like Zack Snyder's work. He did a good thing with Man of Steel. He took a chance. Some people love it, some people don't. But it was a shot, and if it would have worked, it would have been great. But the thing was, with it being mixed, I don't know, and I know why, because they were rushing it, but really, if you looked at it, why would you start... In the past, you never build a foundation on something that's shaky already, right? Mm-hmm. And they did that, and then they're like, I would understand if Man of Steel was mixed, like, oh, we're going to try something new, but then they're like, let's do Zack Snyder for BVS. And that was even lower. And then Justice League, it's kind of a mix of him and whatnot, but it still had that tone that was the DCU, right? Same thing from Man of Steel, it has that similar vibe. And I think that, unfortunately, I don't think all these movies are bad or awful, but the thing is, if you have movies that are mixed, I think this is going to happen that eventually... People, I always talk about, you gotta bring in the mainstream people. We talk about like Marvel all the time, and like video game movies with like Warcraft. Every time I saw those trailers, like, this just feels like it's for the game players, you know, and that's why it's not gonna be successful. You gotta bring in your moms, your grandmas, your brother that's seeing it for the first time. Like, you gotta bring in everybody. I don't think DCU's tone was that. I don't think it was inviting for everybody. You know, I think it was not a small pocket. 94 million is still a big number. It's not gonna be a bomb, it's just gonna be very disappointing from what it could have been, and it's not even going to hit $1 billion, which is super crazy to see. But I think the best analogy for me is, you know, and this is going to get a little raunchy, but just walk through me here. So whether you're a man, you're a woman, once you go through puberty, and once you're out living in adulthood, you know, once you are a sexual being, everybody has that person, that maybe like a celebrity crush, that man, that's the ultimate, right? And I'll use myself for example. It'd be Michelle Pfeiffer. Fell in love with Michelle Pfeiffer. That was the first girl I ever liked. Right when I saw her in Batman Returns, like, oh, I like girls now, you know? And that was it. And honestly, even if I was single now, Michelle Pfeiffer at 60, if she came up and said, hey, you want to come back to my place? I would still go. But here's the thing. So let's say this has all been
What
built.
if she wanted you over just so you could watch Justice League?
I'd still do it, just to be Michelle Pfeiffer. Michelle Pfeiffer's presence. But here's the thing. So this thing is built up for years and years, right? And let's say there is a situation where, you know, a young 16-year-old Travis He sees Michelle Pfeiffer, he gets to go back to her place, and you know what? You go and have sex.
Wow, that was great.
Hang on.
Not even any foreplay.
Dig with there
No,
was.
I see what
Actually,
you're
no.
getting at.
You have sex,
I know what you're
and it wasn't that good. You know, she was kind of she wasn't interested. She was checking her phone during it. She just kind of laid there, you know. And you walk away being a little disappointed. You're just like, well, but I was still with Michelle Pfeiffer. That was Man of Steel, where it's like that was a Superman movie, but I was a little disappointed. You know, next night she calls you up and she's like, hey, you want to come back over? And you're like, well, this is Michelle Pfeiffer. I got to go back over there. And you go back over there and you say, hey, maybe you should put on some lingerie. And she goes, no. And maybe let's do some foreplay, or let's have some oral sex or something like that. Like let's spice it up.
Let's fun.
Let's not do, let's have some fun. Let's not do missionary all the time. And she's like, no. And then you do it again and the same thing, you're disappointed. Eventually, those nights are going to keep happening, and at some point, Michelle Pfeiffer is going to ring the phone, and you're going to look at it and you're going to go, you know what, this isn't worth my time anymore, because I keep going and I'm disappointed. And I feel, other than Wonder Woman, that was happening every time. With Man of Steel, with Squad, with BVS, lots of people love those movies, but there's a big portion of people that were really disappointed. And I think Justice League was that phone text of like, oh, Justice League is out, and I think a lot of people whether it's critic reviews, whether it's Thor Ragnarok, which I don't think hurt it that much. If people really want to see Justice League, they would pick it over Thor. I think that's a weird argument to make. I get it. Some people can only pick one, but then they still pick Thor. So, I don't know. That's not a good sign. So the thing is, they looked at their phone like, you know what, Justice League, not this time. And maybe they're going to go out and meet someone new. Maybe that's what we'll talk about. And I'll disagree. I don't know if the Superman being out hurt it that much, because I still feel like you have Wonder Woman, who came off this huge movie, and then you have Batman. You know, that's the thing where I sometimes go, Superman would have
Wonder Woman doesn't have the history, though. Like, obviously it does, but it's not as mainstream, it's not as popular. Whereas like Superman and Batman are the two most popular comic book characters of all time, I would say.
Yeah, no, I would.
Those two and Spider-Man are like the top three characters that like everyone, no matter who you are, knows who these characters are.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman, I didn't know anything about her really until there was rumblings of her joining the universe. I heard the name, but that's about it.
I just feel like that movie was so big last year and such like a phenomenon that I thought it would have pushed it. And really, I guess it shows that we always talked about that was like, oh man, if Wonder Woman does great, that's good for Justice League. And it didn't really, that wasn't the case. It didn't really matter, you know. And it's funny. I think Wonder Woman 2 will do great. I think because it's
the thing with Wonder Woman is I think from my perspective at least, it was a good movie and I liked it. But a lot of that is comparing it to like what the DC stuff it was. Whereas in a movie as of itself, I think it was just, it was a pretty good movie. It made sense. It was, it was fun, I guess. But like, I don't know. It's not like a great movie. It's not like a movie that I've been itching to go back and watch.
I think a lot of people view it that way, though. A lot of people view it.
Yeah, I think generally it seems like people liked it more than I did.
Yeah.
In general.
Yeah, generally.
I didn't know how to end that sentence, so I was hoping you'd pick up. But you didn't, and I said generally twice. And then you mentioned it, so fuck you.
And then the thing is, too, people, and then we can talk about the fans a little bit, because Taylor's, we want to go there. And people have been all about, like, oh, is this Joss Whedon's cut, Zack Snyder's cut? Nobody was going to help this. Zack Snyder, you buy a dog, it's going to bark. It's the same way Zack Snyder went to go out and make his movies. They kept hiring him, so it can't be like he ruined this. Like, okay, if you didn't like his vision, then sure, but, like, he was doing a job. They tried him. Yeah, I tried, Zack Snyder. And Joss Whedon, he got 6 months to work on it. You're not going to save or like rebuild an entire movie. It's a weird movie. You can tell it's all differences. So I don't think that's a problem. I think it is just quality, because everything I've thrown out. And the other thing is with fans. They go, oh, critics are biased. It's, what is it? It's Rotten Tomatoes. People are, the critics, they got a problem with DC, blah, blah, blah. How come a 2.5 on this movie's a fresh, but 2.5 isn't there? The thing is, that argument, the ground beneath you is starting to fall, because unfortunately for you, you have Wonder Woman. And Wonder Woman is, I think, actually the best reviewed superhero movie on Rotten Tomatoes of all time. And then...
Is it really?
Yeah, by like a rating score, yeah. That's what I mean. It's a very beloved movie. So that's the thing, like, that all your arguments of, like, and this was the thing I kept going, and then I'll hand over to you guys. The thing I kept getting on Twitter all the time was, was talking, because me and Kyle months ago did a podcast asking, oh, could Thor Ragnarok beat Justice League? Which it did, but we were called such idiots for it, just like, you Marvel fanboys, this and that. People and every time I asked them why, they'd have a few reasons, but this big thing was like, oh, because it's Justice League. Well, to me, I think these films show that how much it hurt the brand and how much these films are not hitting home with everybody, because it's Justice League. It didn't matter. Thor Ragnarok beat it. Thor, which is, the first two are like considered the weakest movies of Marvel Universe. Yeah. Some of the third one open bigger, and you can be like, oh, the Hulk's in there, this and that. It doesn't matter. Like, that should not, in the real world, like, in my mind, beat the Justice League. This, like, huge roster of the greatest heroes of all time, you know? And that's where it's like all these excuses, and maybe it does great this weekend, who knows, but I don't think it's gonna be enough to save it. And it's just, the fans have been, it was quiet for a while, but now it's been a lot of just like people are conspiracy theories, like people are trying to hurt it, you're wanting to succeed, you're wanting to fail. I showed these guys a message on Twitter. Some people, I had a message saying that they hope that the critics die just because of this movie. And it's just like, man, like, if you're anyone like that, I always say this with this podcast, we don't want you. Go back in your mom's basement. Go, I want to say so much stuff, but you know, I don't need to go that level, but just go fuck yourself, you know? Like, it's just, it's a movie. It's entertainment. For people to get so worked up, like, man, critics should die because they're biased. They don't care that much. And people, we had it, you know, people are saying we're trying to be fucking Roger Ebert. You shouldn't review it like that because it's a comic book movie. What does that even mean? Because it's a comic book movie. Like, should we do that with movies now? Like, oh, because this is a comedy, we can't review it like that.
Yeah.
Or because this is an animation, we can't review. Like, the logic that's coming out, because now all their excuses of like, oh, this thing and this thing, they're all gone. So now there's picking at things, and it's just, you gotta grow up. And because of you, you're making our fan base look stupid. Like, stop. There's numbers now. There's actual math to this. People aren't just making this up. People go, why is there so much negative press about Justice League? Because it's negative. For your movie to do this poorly is not good news. There's not a good way to spin. If Taylor's on our podcast and he keeps like killing people, and then I come to the news and I'm like, hey, you keep saying bad stuff about Taylor Field. They're like, well, yeah, he's killing people. You know, like, it's not a level, but like...
You heard it here first. DC is killing people.
So this is my question to you guys. Is this been the other thing that's... Well, did you want to touch on the fans at all?
Oh, he wants to
Okay,
touch
touch on
on
fans. We'll talk,
touch
and then
on
next we'll
fans.
talk about what DC could do next. So that's been the next thing that's been heavily debated.
Yeah, I wanted to just kind of
no.
vent for a little bit.
Vent it,
So,
baby.
I mean, excuse me, but like,
This is a rant rave repeat episode with the rants going on.
Like,
Taylor, for just people who are listening, he's moving in his chair. He's really trying to find that comfort zone so he can lay the smack down.
He's been waiting for this the whole episode. He's been shaking.
Yeah.
I have to say, like, all you fucking weekend warrior cave dwelling goblin fucks.
Goblin fucks.
Like, you guys, I don't understand where you guys fucking come from. And it's like, to be honest, you know, I get where you come from at the same point, because yes, you have a movie that you guys praise and you love, but sometimes it sucks dick. Like Assassin's Creed, apparently, for me. But you don't see me going out calling critics to go fucking die and shit.
You did say that to Dylan, though.
Yeah, not in the cast. But what the fuck is wrong with you guys? Like, what the fuckity fuck? Why would you do that? You guys are setting a horrible example for fucking fans. And it's so immature and inappropriate. And you guys are just fucking fucked. Like, fuck. And it just drives me nuts.
Definitely getting flagged for this one.
I just can't believe it. Like, you guys are... I don't understand logically how you can... I mean, obviously, you guys feel safe behind your computer monitors, but that doesn't mean jack shit, because you're calling out someone to go die. It's just a critic. Yes, I got my own beast with critics, but I'm not telling them to die.
That's true. Taylor hates Rotten Tomatoes.
I do hate Rotten Tomatoes. Fucking Rotten Tomatoes. But you know what? I accept everyone's opinions and ideas behind Rotten Tomatoes. I don't look up conspiracy theories. That's the first I've heard. Like, what the
Oh, people say that
Fudge,
because the thing is, there was this big thing of someone gave Wonder Woman a 2.5 and it was fresh, but someone gave Justice League a 2.5 and it was rotten. For people that don't know, the critics decide when they put in a review if it's fresh or rotten. If Rotten Tomatoes takes the review and it's really mixed, they'll give it a rotten unless the critic comes back and says, hey, no, that's actually a fresh. So it's up to the critics what they give it. There's no whatever. Warner Brothers actually owns part of Rotten Tomatoes. They own 30% of Rotten Tomatoes. So I don't think there's a big conspiracy to like take down their own films. I don't understand that part, but you know.
Okay, well there you go, fans. Jesus, but you know, I mean, you know, at the end of the day, like a movie has to be like we touched on this before. Like it has to have that iconic kind of presence to it. I mean, I've seen Thor 3 fucking times. You know why? Because Thor is a good fucking movie. I mean, like. Like honestly, like it blows my mind. Like you can't just step out of your shell and just like attack these people doing their jobs like for the greater good. I mean,
don't play it up that high. They're just reviewing movies now. There's much more important things than movies.
I think you guys need to seriously just get out from under your rock and just go step under the sunlight and just take a breath of fucking fresh air. I mean, it's just like, that's my first rant of the night. I got another fucking rant later on.
Oh,
but
really?
Yeah.
I'm excited for whatever
I'm
Stay tuned.
This has just
more coming.
This has just been piling up. Ever since like I thought it was, when it was quiet and you know
It was quiet for a few days. I think people were waiting to see how the box office did, and then the second it didn't, people turn around and they point their knives because they gotta blame somebody, and it can't be because
they want to blame somebody like Jesus. You know, I mean,
Jesus. They should be blaming Jesus. They should be
like Jesus. Like, what the hell? I mean,
Jesus, fuck you.
You know, it just, if you look at Wonder Woman was a fantastic movie. I love it. I bought it for Black Friday. I would have paid full price for it, but I never got around to it. But I mean,
oh, okay. That's bullshit. And you know it. That's such bullshit.
But anyway, Wonder Woman's a great movie. You know, maybe that set the stepping stones for Justice League to be great too. It wasn't in some aspects for the critics, but you know, at the end of the day, just fuck off.
Wow. And yeah, just go out there and say and make your mind with Secret Rotten Tomatoes. People see that like, oh, people need to see it because people are loving this movie. There's tons of fans that don't love this movie, and movies like Transformers get fucking pummeled by critics, and up until last year, those made billions of dollars. So you can't just say like, oh, people won't make up their mind. Yeah, Rotten Tomatoes is used a lot today. I think it's a great tool because now people can't like snake oil salesmen into seeing movies that aren't really that good. But here's the next question, and then we'll move along. But I think this is a valid question to ask because this has been the thing that's talked about the most is, what do they do from here? Because there's two things. They announced Wonder Woman 2 movie and a Shazam movie. Aquaman is already filmed and it's in post. That comes out in December. Where do you guys think, or what would you think is the right movie?
What? Next December.
Next December. Not this December. Next December. Yeah, next December. You thought it was this?
No, I didn't. That's a
same weekend as Star Wars.
Yeah.
No single trailer for it.
They're going ballsy on this one. So, people honestly have debated. Should they power through this and keep trying to see if they could salvage this and make this DCE universe continue to work? Or should they just pull the reboot button and pull Spider-Man Homecoming, pull Fantastic Four, not like the quality, but just like, hey, we're not that bad. Like, what is next in your opinion, or what do you think they should do next? Because it's a very crucial step what they do next, because
it's so hard to say, right?
Yeah.
Because I see points on both sides. You know, there's part of me that says, okay, you know, let's see what happens with Aquaman, but I know if that's your mentality, then it's kind of just a slippery slope. You know, okay, Aquaman, that was shit. Let's wait, see what the next movie is. But I think Aquaman could be a big sign because look at, I guess Man of Steel was. I feel like that movie was so long ago that
2013.
Yeah, it's hard for me to kind of rationalize as part of this cinematic universe. But Wonder Woman was a lot more contained than your BVS, your Justice League, your Suicide Squad, and obviously it was a lot more successful. And that's because it wasn't as grand a scope. You know, you could really develop a character. Now Wonder Woman's like an actual like solid character, whereas you look at even Batman in their current universe, he's like he's already kind of confusing, right? Like it doesn't feel like he's the same guy, right?
Yeah.
Whereas Wonder Woman, you know, you developed a good character,
Yeah.
and so it sucks, unfortunately, that Aquaman didn't get more screen time because it's obvious that there was a ton of stuff cut from that character from my perspective. Like the fact that they only spend like 5 minutes on Atlantis in this movie is so weird to me. But I mean, maybe their plan is that they want to go back to it, but it doesn't really make sense timeline wise, right? Like they should have done Aquaman before the Justice League, obviously, but they didn't, and here's the reality we're stuck with. But who knows? Maybe that movie's really good, and that character now feels justified, and then you know retroactively people look at Justice League and they'll watch again, they'll like it better because, oh, I know this character now. I understand why he is the way he is.
Well, this is two things I want to bring up. One, the director of Aquaman came out and he said, like, oh, they don't talk like that in my movie, like the Phantom Menace bubble, as I call it. So it's like, again, like the continuity. Yeah. The Atlantis, like, they are going to probably just talk underwater like in the comics. So one, I just feel like it's a small thing, but just like, why don't you talk to each other and be like, hey, this is the way it is in this movie, this way it's going to be forward. The other thing is that, for me, is most intriguing about this reboot question, if they do it, is when I listed off all those examples at the beginning, we've never seen like a cinematic universe like have a big bust like right in the middle. It's always been at the start, right? They tried it at the Mummy, oh, it doesn't work. You know, like it's always the beginning, then it's like, well, easy because you have no other movies working. But I think that's to me the most unique thing is like, Just League happened, right now isn't doing the greatest, and you have Aquaman like already filmed and already like done, and it's like, to me, before you brought this up in the review deal, like, oh, would people see Aquaman because his low screen time? And I thought, oh no, like I still think people will go see it. My thing is like, will people want to go see it if like not a huge amount of people go see Justice League? You know, like a huge amount of people are, but huge as like other comic book movies. And that's the thing, in your opinion, and we're gonna get the others after. Do they make any more? What do you think at the end of the day do they do? Do they keep going this way? Like, do they start Wonder Woman 2 before Aquaman comes out? Or do they just really just hold on tight until Aquaman comes out.
It's so hard for me to say because if you do a reboot, oh wow, just tossing computers. The thing is, if you reboot, that comes with some other, I guess, points as well. As like, okay, are you gonna recast? Are you gonna recast everyone? Are you gonna recast some people? And I don't know what you guys are laughing at.
Me, just fucking.
But it's just getting me distracted. Oh, it's the replay of him.
Yeah, I was waiting for it.
Yeah, it's hard to say because you want to keep Wonder Woman, you want to keep Gal Gadot, right?
Yeah.
But
well,
if
the
you
other one for me is
reboot,
Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn too, because people
yeah,
love her. Man,
but yeah, you don't want to get rid of all of these characters. Like you want to keep some of them at least. And I mean, it seems like Ben Affleck's out, but like he had potential to be good. Obviously, it seems like he doesn't give a shit at this point. But even you know Aquaman, Jason Momoa, I've only seen him in Game of Thrones, so I don't know him that well. But he fits the role, and I don't know. I think I'm curious what we'll see in Aquaman if he actually is like a strong lead character in that movie.
So I want to get your official prediction because then we can look back this one time.
Prediction on what they're gonna do.
Do they power through? Do they reboot? Next in 5 years, are we still movies in this DCEU? Is it a hybrid or is it a full on? We've wiped our hands. Let's go.
See, I think it's too. I think it's just too late to reboot because if you have to stop and then you have to wait like a couple years. You know, buffer zone. By the time you're doing that, Marvel's already in what phase?
Infinity War.
Infinity War 12. Yeah, there's fucking believing 1,000 movies.
They got X-Men and Fantastic Four back, and it's like fuck.
I don't think that would work out too well, right? But obviously these movies aren't really doing well right now.
Yeah.
I think what they'll do is I think they'll stick it out, and what I hope they do is just kind of make a more movies that are just like more
Wonder Woman.
More Wonder Woman.
Isolated.
Yeah, more isolated. That's what I'm looking for. Thanks. Yeah, exactly. More.
Yeah, I didn't mean like more. Yeah, just keep making.
Just Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman v Aquaman. Wonder Woman v Cyborg.
That would be. No, I don't want that. But yeah, I think they should make these movies more contained, more isolated. And who knows, fuck around with Flashpoint, have 3 different Jokers, I don't give a shit. As long as you make some cool movies, make some interesting movies, you make movies that are coherent and you can tell are from one director as opposed to some muddled bag of tricks that Justice League
Which granted
was.
that wasn't their fault because he had a family tragedy, right? So they didn't plan for him to not finish the movie Zack Snyder, right?
Right.
So he did, I
forgot about that.
Yeah, it is a rare case. Like, I don't think every time it's going to happen. But even before, they still had problems.
Yeah.
So
I think they'll keep going.
Okay.
And I think they should, but they need to change gears for sure. Because I think if you reboot at this point, you're getting so far behind. And then if you want to take the time like Marvel did to actually build up these characters by having Iron Man 1 and 2 and Thor, Captain America, now you're even farther behind. So, yeah. That's me.
Me? I'll take it.
Sure.
Anyone.
I'm good to go. Okay. What does that mean? Are you ready?
Yeah, no, you go.
Okay.
He won't be ready in 2 minutes.
Yeah, like for me, like thinking back on it, I feel like bringing Justice League in right now is just way too early. Like I agree with you how they definitely should have built up some characters because like you said, like Aquaman had 5 minutes of screen time, and it's like you're really not that attached to the character. Like sure he's a badass, but you don't know his story, and it's just like the Cyborg character, Flash, like you just like all these characters were just kind of tossed into this movie where. Like you said, Ben Affleck, Batman, like, he doesn't even really have a backstory. Like, you don't know what type of Batman...
You still don't know what that dead Robin suit is.
Yeah, no.
It's just, some Robin died along the way and he doesn't mention it.
Like, it's just super random. And, like, I feel like they should have... Like, to bring a Justice League movie in... Like, I feel like out of any comic book series... Or, like, not... Like, well, just talking about DC. Like, out of any movie, whether it be, like, a Batman movie, a Superman movie, Green Lantern movie, for example, like, I feel like... You really have to build those up and then have the Justice League to be like the top tier movie. Like you can't just have like say, I don't know, BVS is like way better than Justice League because I feel like having Justice League with all these characters, I feel like it has such high expectations because you're throwing all these characters in.
Well, the other thing, BVS kind of took out some of that wow factor because that movie already had Wonder Woman, Superman, and Batman, right?
It was like a mini Justice League.
Yeah. So you lost that like oomph of like, oh, I got to see them together for the first time. It's like, well, we did see the characters we know, Cyber and Flash, whatever,
And I mean that surprised too. Like Wonder Woman was in the trailers, so you already knew she was there.
Yeah. They showed her all right.
Yeah.
Great trailers.
But for like doing a reboot, like it's really hard to say because I feel like what would have worked well for them is like I've already mentioned, just like not have the Justice League right now. Like if they had, let's say, an Aquaman movie and it wasn't good, like you could just wait a few years and try and like I don't know, have something different and like have a different take on it.
And I know what you guys are saying, but it's fine to put in perspective. After Iron Man, it was 4 years till Avenger came out, and same thing as Man of Steel. Man of Steel came out, and that was 4 years later.
Yeah.
And it's just funny, like Marvel felt like they did so, and obviously it's because they did those solo movies right instead of like a Suicide Squad, right, or BVS. But it's funny they both had their big team up in 4 years, and Marvel, you know, sorry, but it felt like we know.
Well, there's a lot more movies though from Marvel. Right?
But
Well, the thing is, Marvel had individual movies for each character.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Just
whereas DC just kind of threw random movies out.
Yeah. Well, even like Suicide Squad's technically there, but it's in the universe, but it has nothing to do with Justice League.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas all of the Marvel movies were kind of building towards Avengers. The DC movies were sort of just kind of
even your characters like Black Widow, her first like big appearance is in Avengers, but she's in other movies, so you already know that character.
Yeah.
You have multiple characters in this movie who this is the first time you see them.
And with the MCU, because I just counted it, they only had, and it's just because they used, I think the movie's better, but they only had one more movie in between the 4 years than they did.
I'll say two, because Suicide Squad is like not really to do with Justice League.
Fair enough. No, yeah, I'll give you that one.
Yeah,
I'll give you that one.
But that's actually surprising. That doesn't feel.
That's what I mean. It feels straight. It feels like they've had so many more, right? But so, Kirk, what is your 5-year prediction? 5 years. That's what I'm gonna make you all do. Is it
down the road?
Yeah. Is it
like
continuing in this universe? Is it some sort of hybrid you in your mind, or is it a we got?
What do you mean hybrid? Like solos and just.
Well, whatever you feel the hybrid is, I don't know. Until someone throws a hybrid out, I don't know, but.
Like, it's really hard to say because, in my point of view, like,
The Jedi
I really...
I'm gonna stop doing that.
I'm never gonna stop doing that.
Like, I don't really want to see another Justice League movie for a while.
Ooh!
Like, I don't know, like, I saw this, and like I said, it was okay, but, like, I have no intention of, like, seeing these characters all back together again. Like, I want to see some backstory for separate characters. I guess we're getting Aquaman, like you said. But, like, I want, like, a Green Lantern movie that's actually, like, really good. Like, I really like Green Lantern from, like, back in the day in the show and stuff. And, like, I feel like he was such a huge part of Justice League. And that, like, just not having just not having, like, a Green Lantern in this movie other than that spoiler battle scene.
Whatever. He spoiled it right now.
Like, other than that battle scene, like, I just felt like this movie was so lackluster. And, like, they did kind of hint, they're like, oh, we'll have 6 chairs, room for more.
Room for more.
Yeah, like, it's...
Such a sad line now.
Yeah, but for 5 years down the road, obviously we're getting Aquaman, Wonder Woman 2. Whatever's gonna happen.
Yeah, the only one that's actually done any like filming wise is just Aquaman. The other ones are just like, oh, we're working on them, but no one's got in front of cameras yet instead of Aquaman.
Yeah, the thing I keep going back to though, it just sucks that Justice League happens so quick because every solo movie we get now. Like, I feel like it has to be, like, a prequel, right?
Kind of. Where they just
otherwise,
ignore
you
the
can't have a
events
solo
of
movie with Justice League, because it's like, oh, why isn't he with the team? Or, like, why isn't the team working together, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's really hard to say, like... Yeah, I don't know. They're in trouble, I feel like.
They're in trouble.
DC, I don't know, man.
Anyone want to go?
I don't know. I don't know what they can do because they brought up a good point. Whereas if they continue with say Gal Gadot and Wonder Woman, you always have that. Okay, but she's part of the Justice League going forward. And so it's hard for them to just kind of keep that going and just completely cut off and disregard Justice League now.
Yeah.
So
that's her first time like in the public too, right? Unless they do another prequel, they could, right?
And then obviously they have Aquaman 2 already coming out, and they
Aquaman 2.
I know what. No, he meant the T.O. the way he said it. That's what they're doing now. They're just skipping to the sequels.
Oh, that's why I thought he didn't have proper backstory. I didn't see the first.
No one has. They didn't even make it.
So dumb.
But yeah, I feel like they're in a very tough spot with how poorly Justice League did. I think the best option is to kind of a hybrid. I think they need to keep Gal Gadot and Wonder Woman because I think that's the best thing they have going for them.
I think that is their biggest problem. I think if that movie also bombed, I think 100%
so much easier just...
Aquaman's the last one in this universe. If you like Momoa, we'll keep him around. But if Wonder Woman sucked and didn't do that well, it's an easy, we're done, let's move along. But Wonder Woman is like, it's a good problem to have because it's a successful movie. At the same time, you're like, you can see, I feel people itching, like, let's just start over, like, let's just blow it up. But it's like, but and especially because Gal Gadot played the first Wonder Woman. Like, everybody, she's Michael Keaton, she's Christopher Reeve, she's always going to be that, like, woman associated with Wonder Woman now, right?
Yeah.
She's Wonder Woman, and she'll be that way the rest of her career. And it's
Hugh
like
Jackman effect.
yeah, exactly. Robert Downey, Ryan
Robert
Reynolds.
Downey,
She's that.
Hugh Jackman worked though.
No, that's what I mean. Like she
Yeah.
is in that echelon of the people you think of. Oh, that's her role now, you know. And if they reboot it, what they go and get Megan Fox or somebody, and then it's like everyone like, they shit on her. Like
Please no.
I don't like Daredevil, but it's the same thing. Like after Heath Ledger, it's like anybody who's gonna do that role next, like you're not gonna do well here, you know. So yeah, that's a good point.
I think, but I think the best they can really do is after Aquaman, just say no to the
Say no to
DCU
drugs.
and just go with separate individual movies. Do Jake Gyllenhaal's Batman.
We're gonna talk about that in a second.
Do Leo DiCaprio as Joker.
Yeah.
Do a solo Deathstroke movie working with even Jesse Eisenberg as
Lex Luthor.
Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
Do those solo things that maybe were mentioned in the this Justice League universe, but just kind of go with how X-Men did with their kind of spin-offs and just say fuck
That's
it.
gonna be my example.
Don't worry about it. You know,
Yeah.
it's shitty. Everyone knows it, so just ignore it and just go for it. I would have no problem if 5 years, 6 years from now, we saw Gal Gadot, and if Aquaman does well, we see Aquaman kind of teaming up with a Jake Gyllenhaal's Batman,
Yeah.
Leo DiCaprio being involved, and keeping the good
This
things. and
Leo
just-
thing.
I just love Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to be the
keep,
Joker too.
I have no issues with them breaking continuity and just keeping the good, getting rid of the bad, and doing what they can to make good movies
Yeah.
again. So
Yeah.
I think that's a path though. I hope they go, but we'll see.
Yeah. Before you go to, I'm gonna go because mine's similar to Tyler. That's the way I thought. I thought it's gonna be a hybrid where I think you're gonna get, I think you will get a Wonder Woman 2. You'll get an Aquaman, but I don't think there's gonna be any mention of them teaming up, everything like that. And the thing, I was always the biggest champion of Flashpoint. To me, I don't think Flashpoint happens anymore because that is a big movie with Aquaman, Batman, Wonder Woman. It's almost like Justice League, and it's like we don't make money off this podcast. Really, we make a couple dollars. But like, if we were in a position where we do this as a hobby, but we would love to do it full time. And if we did it where we did shows that we had to produce an amount of money for. Let's say Kyle is, he comes back from whatever he's doing in the world, and he's like, hey, I want this solo show. And we're like, sure, and that would cost us money to produce it. And let's say every time he produces it, that it's getting lower and lower viewers. And right now we don't gotta worry. Yeah, we don't gotta worry about that right now because we do this as a passion project. But if it was money involved, at what point do you go, hey, and then let's say Kyle starts losing us money, right? Like, and that's why if Justice League loses them money,
Fucking
like,
Kyle, what the hell, man?
this is the other thing people think about. For me, the potential of a reboot still could happen is, at the end of the day, this is a business, and people are gonna look at Justice League and look at these other movies, and even though maybe they'll want to keep something like Gal, how much do they go, do we want to keep making these movies in this universe that are around these characters? Because forever, Momoa is going to be attached to Justice League. Wonder Woman is attached to Wonder Woman, but she's also attached to Justice League. And like, I feel like that is the biggest fear, and I think Aquaman is the biggest test of if it also does not do well. I could see it also being blown up, and it sucks, but I could see there being a new Wonder Woman. I could see there being a new Flash would be like Flash. And that's the thing, because what's the line, I guess, for them to be like, hey, this is too much. And if the movie Justice League, even to me, loses them $1 million, even if it loses them $5, that's ridiculous. And to me, that's the point where I worry that, hey, Aquaman could be your last kind of go at it, And I think you brought the X-Men, that's exactly the way I was going to go. I think you get a hybrid of, they just start making movies. Oh, how's this all connected? That's up to you. How's Logan? What universe is that in? It's in its universe. Why is Deadpool here? What Xavier's here? Why is Colossus in this movie? Why do we have two Calibans, an Apocalypse and Logan? You figure it out. It's up to you, And I think that's exactly it. I think they do a thing where they make these solo movies, and if they're doing well, at the end credit scene, and it's Jake Gyllenhaal's Batman, Gal Gadot comes in just like, hey, I need your help. And that's like 6-7 years from now. Like, nowhere near, like, they don't even announce it. They don't say, like, hey, we're doing Justice League next year. They make an exciting, like, a surprise about it. X-Men's the best example, because you had X-Men Last Stand, X-Men 3, which was a terrible movie, but it was their biggest movie because
I love that movie.
Because the hype of 1 and 2 was their biggest movie yet. And then Wolverine came out, and it dropped. And then First Class came out, and it was their lowest opening ever. It's very much like Justice League. What did they do? They powered through. They made Days of Future Past. The reason why I don't think they'll do Flashpoint is because to me, I thought Justice League was going to do well, but it would not do well story-wise, so they'll fix some stuff. The problem was, this is minor spoilers, they kind of just tried to retroactively fix stuff in Justice League without even doing Flashpoint. Like, to me, it's a big point, but Clark Kent is just back alive. Superman was super happy, apparently, before he died, right? Like, that phone video of, he's like, oh, I love you guys, and blah, blah.
Yeah,
he was not, so they just kind of tried to do Flashpoint without even doing a story reason. They just like, yeah, he's happy now, and he's like this now, and this is, you know, whatever, ignore that, like, you know, what's the dead Robin? That didn't happen, you know, so that's why I don't think Flashpoint happens, because it's a big movie, again, a big crossover, and it was to fix that universe. I don't think they want to fix that universe anymore. I think they want to move away from it. So I think it is going to be a hybrid. I think it's going to be someone who will do the movies, because you can't throw away Wonder Woman 2. If those don't work, then they wait 5 years, and we get a whole new thing, and we'll see. Because reboots are always exciting, but they're also scary, but, you know, so. Taylor, you get the final word on this.
I would say that, you know, 5-year plan.
Yeah.
That's a lot of Suicide Squads, probably.
I don't think so.
No, I think, you know, we got a Wonder Woman 2 and an Aquaman coming out. I think those are some great points to, like, capitalize on, like, kind of, like, a clean slate almost. I feel like, you know, they need to steer away from, like, the whole group aspect for a good little while. I feel like at this point their trend is, okay, here, we're going to have Batman vs. Superman and have 5 minutes of Wonder Woman, and then after that, we're giving her no backstory, we're going to throw her own movie. So I think it makes sense in this way. Oh, we gave Aquaman 5 minutes, now we're going to give him his own movie afterwards. So
a little bit more than 5 minutes, you know.
A little more than 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Like 6.5. But I mean, you know, it just, yeah, Justice League, it just opened too many doorways, but at the same time they could play that into their own, like a benefit. All those doorways could be opened up into so many different stories. They showed Green Lantern, spoiler, and so they could put out their...
You already did that.
Can't say spoiler after.
Yeah.
So they showcased him. They could easily just drop an awesome standalone Green Lantern movie. I'd love to see a new one.
Well, I don't know if they could easily do it. They've been known to not easily make a good movie.
I feel like something they could do for that though is like kind of what they did with Ant-Man. How like he kind of just like Avengers are there. He's just like in that universe, and he kind of stops by, and then they have like one member of that group, right? Like they could have
smaller characters,
Cyborg, right? Like talk to whoever this new character is, Green Lantern, and then like Justice League's there. You don't see Ben Affleck, Jake Gyllenhaal, whoever
but
the hell's
movie
Batman.
Justice League is
Justice League is in that universe, so like I feel like it could happen. It's just it's really tough because like I've said 100 times already, Justice League, it just happens so fast.
And they just don't get back together because there's no big threat, right? They don't have a reason to. They're just like, and then Batman's just sitting as fucking Dale, just like, I thought there was gonna be more of us, and it's just him. And then the dead Robin suit.
Even Alfred's like, I'm out of here.
That's morbid.
Taking a vacation.
You have anything more to say there?
It's so morbid. Endless vacation.
I don't know. I hope that they can push forward. I don't want to see a reboot. I really don't, because I mean that ship has definitely sailed. I mean,
well, it's not. No, that's the point of a reboot. I think
that's
like pulling the ship back.
Yeah,
like,
but I mean,
they restock it with new stuff.
It doesn't say. It doesn't look good though. I mean, they've established this brand back in like it was 2013. Man of Steel is where they started, and they've gone all the way now to this point, and they're just going to reboot all that. I mean, that's horrible, especially because I think you know.
But what if
as
it's
you
not?
Said,
people aren't liking that though. That's the thing. Like
then
you keep that thing.
You keep,
and they're not making money.
Yeah. Or the money they want, at least.
They need to look at what they did wrong, and it clearly was right after Wonder Woman. But I think...
So nothing before Suicide Squad? Right, 10 out of 10.
Yeah, come on.
Yes, also 10.
Oh, dear. But no, I feel like... a good point. Yeah, no, they need, like, it's like what you said, Gal Gadot, Jedi, yeah. Gal Gadot is, like, their key, like, she is tied to Wonder Woman now, so you can't just disregard that. I mean, just steer your ship into a new direction, where I think the direction they need to go is standalones. You know, sure, for a group, do Suicide Squad 2, obviously, like they planned, but I mean, at that point, like...
Obviously.
Obviously.
You just want to
Why is it not clear to them that
this is
how could they not see this? Why was Margot Robbie not in Justice League?
I don't want Justice League, like, I feel like Justice League will put a dent in them thinking, oh, maybe we should steer away from the whole group projects, and maybe they'll steer away from Suicide Squad 2, which I don't think they should. I want to see Killer Croc again and all that.
I think they will. I think they'll just be like, yeah, let's just make that Harley Quinn movie, and fuck the rest of you.
Who's the guy with the grappling hook?
We don't talk about it.
Slipknot.
Slipknot. I want to see this guy.
His solo. His prequel movie of how he learned to climb stuff.
He killed Robin.
Wow.
He tried it out.
This is legitimately my
Maybe a
last.
solo Captain Boomerang movie. I don't know.
This is legitimately my last point because this is the big news. We don't have a newscast for a while, and Aquaman doesn't come out till next December, so I'm sure we'll talk about. But we're not going to talk about too much news unless Warner Brother comes out tomorrow. Like, yeah, we're just
Justice League 2.
We
coming
sold
out
it.
February.
We sold to Disney. We love it. We love what's going to happen there. Marvel versus Disney. No, this is the thing I will say because I know it sounds native, but we're all fans. All we want is good movies. We want them to do well if they are good movies. We want to enjoy this. And for the people that aren't crazy fans and are just disappointed, I feel really bad for you, especially if something like a reboot happens. This podcast started with me talking about Hannibal. And you know what? For me, that's a case where, you know what? I love it. And I can be like, man, every year, more people are going to watch it because it's getting all this good buzz and everything like that. 3 years, canceled. And it's done. And hopefully maybe it'll come back, but at the end of the day, I still have that thing in the back of my mind, like, it's never come back. It's done. As much as I loved it, I've been in that situation. We've all been in that situation. We're like, man, I want this to continue. I want this not. And if the DCU is done, and you liked Zack Snyder's tone and his vision, that sucks. You know, it sucks to have that. If you like those movies and you're a nice, general, normal person that's a fan that can just talk about movies, I feel for you because if you've liked since Man of Steel up into Justice League, it's like, man, like they're definitely, no matter what, whether they reboot or not, they're gonna move away from that type of movie, that style, that tone. So you know what? I feel bad for you guys, but you know what? At the end of the day, hopefully we'll get some good DC movies.
Hopefully.
And one of those good DC movies could be Jake Gyllenhaal as the new Batman. So there's rumors, and this can tell you a little bit what we were touching on before, but there's rumors that obviously Ben Affleck's not coming back. Let's just call it spade. It's not going to happen. So Matt Reeves, who directed the Planet Apes series Dawn of War, he is doing a Batman movie, but the idea is to do a trilogy. He's been talking with apparently several actors, which I want them to leak the fucking names of these actors, but they haven't. But the rumor is the top choice is Jake Gyllenhaal. We talked about this in Night of Justice League, and it seemed pretty mixed at the table. So now it's been a week. What are your guys' thoughts? Dylan, I think, is a little biased because you can go check out you can check out the episode from Comic-Con. We did a 2017 superhero draft, and we have a year from July 2017 to July 2018. We picked 5 actors, and if they got cast in a comic movie, we get a point. And you picked Jake Gyllenhaal.
I doubled down.
You doubled down. Everyone put a star by one of their choices, and you got 2 points. And you did that for Jake Gyllenhaal.
I picked Jake Gyllenhaal because I think he has so much diversity. Like he could have been a good guy. He could be like a villain. He could do whatever. And
he could be the new Harley Quinn.
He could be the new Harley Quinn, or he could be the new
Batman. The new Batman, yeah. The new Slipknot. Slipknot.
I think he has a really good look for Batman for sure. I'd love to see that.
Yeah.
I'm a Jake Gyllenhaal fan. He's a good guy.
He's a great guy. I like him.
He's strong.
What do you think about him as Batman?
Friend.
What do you think about him as Batman?
I can picture it, like, definitely. I picture him as, like, the playboy billionaire, awesome Bruce Wayne guy, but it's kind of hard to, like, picture him in the Batsuit, like, right now, just, like, personally.
Really?
It's hard to picture Ben Affleck in Batsuit.
That's what it was, too. For me, I was like,
true.
what's it going to look like with the cowl? But then the second I get the cowl on, it's just like, oh, he just looks like Batman.
Yeah, no, it's very true. Like once it happened, like, you could put anyone in there. You could put freaking Elijah Wood as Batman.
Yo! Put him as Robin! Jake Gyllenhaal as Batman? Frodo as Robin? That'd be sick! I'm so down for that movie. GeekVerse produced.
Samwise as Robin and Elijah Wood as Batman.
I don't know how to
And then Ian McKellen as Alfred. That's perfect. You got any thought? You look like you have a disgusted face, Taylor. About
Do I?
You were like something like this.
No, I like Jake Gyllenhaal.
He just
You know,
insulted
Prince of
your
Persia, Source Code. Those are some.
Source Code's a good
Prince
movie.
of Persia?
Prince of Persia. I mean,
It was a movie.
That was a movie?
With Jake Gyllenhaal.
That was.
Yeah, I forgot.
Yeah,
I didn't know Jake Gyllenhaal was in it.
You never saw Prince of Persia?
Nope.
Source Code, though.
Source Code's a good movie.
Source Code is great. Yeah.
That's a great
So
movie.
yeah, no, I like Jake Gyllenhaal. I think I mean, I wasn't expecting him to be name dropped for Batman, but
Still a rumor for people that don't know. It's still yeah.
Officially,
Jake
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah, you heard it here first. GeekVerse scoop.
But all the power to him. I mean, he resembles Ben Affleck. Like, I feel like a little bit. So I mean,
Really?
he made fools of people.
Because he's a white male? I don't know. I don't see it.
I feel like if they get the kind of scruff looking like Ben Affleck had in Justice League, I feel like they would look very similar. And when the bat mask is put on him, I feel like people may not even notice that that's not even Ben Affleck.
Still notice. People have different chins.
I'll be pretty happy it's not Ben Affleck.
I feel like Ben Affleck's kind of like awkwardly wide as well.
That's the suit. It's not him. They went for the
No, but like in
Returns.
general,
Okay.
like he's just.
You're awkwardly wide.
But he doesn't look like he's super muscly. And it's not like he's like fat or something.
He's just wide.
He's just a
He's
wide
a
set man.
broad-
He's a wide man.
He has big
Broad
shoulders.
He's got big shoulders. Hi, Briggs.
Hello. Yes. Jake Gyllenhaal for me is I never thought of it before, but I think he's one of the best choices for Batman that could be out there. I think a huge nod to that would be Nightcrawler and his performance there.
Yeah.
He does a phenomenal job with that sort of a very intelligent but mentally unstable sort of role, which he absolutely killed in Nightcrawler, I found. And then he has a more of like a detective sort of role in Prisoners as well. And
great movie.
he does that role just absolutely phenomenally, and I think those are both sort of concepts that Batman has with his character as well. So I think he could apply that style and that experience into playing as Batman and just absolutely kill it. And I mean, Jake Gyllenhaal is just a great guy, real nice guy, very good looking.
You had him over for dinner last week, didn't you?
Yeah, no, he's wonderful. Wonderful.
Kirk
You know,
Woods
I always
jokes.
love him.
He made that joke first.
That's alright.
So I think,
real friends.
and then also I didn't know this, but you mentioned the director of
Matt Reeves. He did
Ape?
Cloverfield.
Oh
he
my
did
goodness.
War and Dawn of the Planet of the
That
Apes.
is
Oh,
like
man.
Cloverfield, like the original?
wow.
Oh, okay.
I
good resume.
love all of those movies.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited if that actually happens with him and Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah, him is not a rumor. He is signed on to direct. So that's a full on. Whether it's Ben Affleck, which it won't be, but that'd be so funny if he did stick around. He's like, "Fuck all you, I'm gonna do
You're
it."
the cast. No one is cast. What if he just for some reason had some grudge against Matt Reeves? I'm gonna be in your movie. I'm gonna be shit.
No one wants him there, but there's some technicality in the contract where he can.
Well,
He's the final
guarantee
say.
There
that.
is. He's still signed on for 2 more movies, so like they'll pay him off. But yeah, I think that Matt Reeves is gonna be a great choice. If you look at what he did with Season, those last 2 movies, phenomenal. I think the biggest thing with Jake Gyllenhaal, because most people are really positive on, which I'm surprised, but there are some doubters, like I can't see him do it. I'd rather see him as a Joker. One, he's never gonna play the Joker because one of his best friends played the Joker, so that's not gonna happen. I agree with Briggs. Nightcrawler is his best role ever. He should have won a fucking Academy Award for that 10 times in a row. The thing is, he can do that with Batman. He just has to make him like less creepy because Batman's not a creepy guy. But the thing they've never
Batman's
really
kind of creepy.
Well, hang on. Yeah, the thing they've never done with Batman in the movies, they even hinted about with Affleck, but they didn't get there. He's a super unstable guy, Batman. Many people consider him crazy. There's a guy that dresses up as a bat and goes out in the middle of the night and beats on people. He adopts kids randomly and just trains them to become weapons. Like, he saw his parents get murdered in front of him. We know that. But, like, they've never really touched upon. They've always hinted at it, and no one's a little and this and that, but they never get fully into people thinking that, like, he maybe shouldn't even be Batman because he's just, like, not a stable guy. And I think Gyllenhaal could do that. Gyllenhaal, I think, is, like, top 5 of this generation, this decade, I say. He's phenomenal. I hope it does happen. I want to hear the other choices. They just say the rumor names. I want to hear them because I've always wanted John Hamm. So if that's in there, Jake gets the bump for me. But
Interesting.
I love John Hamm. But Jake Gyllenhaal, I've always said this. If John Hamm was like the steak, Jake Gyllenhaal's a chicken. Like, I'd be happy with either or. Like, there's a lot of great actors out there that could play Batman.
You always said that?
On Dynamic 2, I do.
That's such a
Super
fucking
weird.
weird comment to always say.
But yeah, I really hope it happens. I'm so down for this choice.
So specific.
And like you might see, we were doing a cast, but I was down for Ben Affleck too. I was championing Christian Bale. I've been happy with the Batmans they've cast, so I hope Gyllenhaal gets it. So
I remember my first thought when I thought of it. I just like couldn't see him as like some Jack Batman, but I forgot he was in that boxing movie. I forgot what it was.
Southpaw,
And, like,
yeah.
yeah, like he was huge in that, so I think it'd be a great ass kicker.
Ass kicker.
Fox is at it again with we're talking about spin-off movies. There's 2 movies that are rumored right now. James Franco is rumored to star in a movie called Multiple Man, which is also about a mutant that can do multiple versions of himself. And there's not rumors, they are developing, that doesn't mean it's going to happen, but they are developing an X-23 movie. We don't know if that would be with the same actress, if that would be with older time jump, but what do you guys think about those 2? Fox, again, sticking with their path of, hey, doing wacky, weird stuff, and I guess I'll just go first. Wacky, weird stuff, but this is what I want them to do. I think Multiple Man is going to be a full James Franco comedy. Multiple Man, you can do stuff, because Multiple Man, you can break apart. That multiple doesn't have to come back. They can go and live their lives. Like, one time he came across a pastor, and he found that was a version of himself. Like, there's so much, and James Franco, I think, is just salivating at the idea to play, like, multiple versions of himself. He already does it on HBO right now on The Deuce, so I think this is great. X-23, I've talked about that enough. That movie has to happen. I don't know how after Logan you don't want to follow her journey to see, and you don't time jump. You stick with that little girl. Look at Stranger Things. They're not going to jump 10 years ahead. Like, now we're recasting 11. You stick with that actress. You stick with, what the fuck was her name? I forgot it. She did such a great job, though. She was such a standout child actress. So if you time jump, I think it's a huge mistake, and you lose a lot of the audience. So that's what I thought about those two movies. I'm going to find our name.
Find her name. Yeah, Multiple Man, I'd be so down for that.
Oh, I'd be so down.
I love what their ideas are here to just take it off the wall and do some weird shit. I think that's such a, I don't know, it's such an interesting idea. I think just getting away from the whole cinematic universe thing is, I don't know, it's interesting for comic books. It's obviously not being done by the other two big competitors.
No, it's not.
But it's worked out for them well so far, and I'm sure Deadpool 2 is going to be a huge success.
Yeah.
Yet again, like almost guaranteed. So yeah, I love this idea, and I think James Franco's the perfect guy for it.
I agree.
He's awesome. He's hilarious.
And
he has so many. I feel like he can also be really serious as well.
Oh, yeah,
and so you could have, like he could be like the villain of that movie and be like.
I think that's what's going to happen. I think he's going to be the villain.
Yeah, and he could do it. Like he, as an actor,
and I want to
do
see
that.
it.
He's
fantastic.
I'm actually, the more I think about that movie, the more excited I get.
Well, and they don't have to crossover stuff, but if that was big, you could easily throw him in a cameo or have a scene of him.
He could be in every X-Men movie for the rest of time.
But
He could work. He could work cinematic universe.
But like seeing him in a Deadpool movie, the same way as like I still think there's a chance we see like Hugh Jackman or Wolverine in this Deadpool 2 as just like some cameo. Like that's what you can do. I mean, they haven't done that yet of teasing with that, but I think this idea of just the making soul movies and seeing where it goes, I think it's working out for them. I don't know how we'll talk about in the future how the next X-Men movie is going to work out for them, because that's still following something. But yeah, how do you feel about X-23?
I really like
Daphne Keane played her.
Daphne Keane,
yeah.
Daphne, not Daphne.
No, it's
sure?
Daphne. Oh, maybe it's Daphne.
It's
like Dafine. Is that Daphne?
Define
it however you like.
Miss Keane.
I'm gonna call her X23.
Exactly, there we go.
I really liked X23. I'm gonna use that because it's easier to say. I thought she was really good. I'm curious how she'd be able to do in like a movie where she is the main role, especially because she doesn't really talk.
Yeah.
And
James Franco will come in.
Yeah, he probably will. She'll just rip him to shreds, and then she'll rip another one of him to shreds, and just keep going.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Like there's so many fight scenes you can do with multiple men.
Oh, there's almost too many you can do. Yeah, I don't know. I'm curious. Like, do you make it so she talks more, and that's just like how the character develops and grows up? Because that could work. I don't know if people. I'm not sure like how she could pull it off as an actress because she is so young. I don't know what her full range is really, but I'm curious. I agree they shouldn't really time jump.
Yeah.
Just I don't know. Just because they do like I don't know. It seems more and more common these days that child actors have skills, in It and Stranger Things. It's just more and more common. So who knows? Maybe she's really, really good just in general, and she could carry a movie all by herself. I don't know, but I'd like to see it at least. I'd like to see her try, even if it was like. I guess I'm curious what else they do. Like who else is in this movie character-wise? What they do with the story.
I think they still pair her with some people. So whether it's like kids or if it is another adult that she comes across the way, I think it's not just fully her, but it would be called probably just Laura or something like that, right? So they'll pick the.
No, that'll be her final movie in 17 years.
When she's dying. Wow, 17 years,
That's Logan.
Not a long time.
Yeah, fair enough. I guess it's just different because Hugh Jackman's like 50, so I'm like, oh yeah, he can go where she'll be like...
Well, that was my joke, okay? Take it or leave it, that was the joke I had.
Gonna leave it.
You know, the Jedi are evil.
The sand gets everywhere, and all those old adages.
It's December, it's gonna be coming up,
It's not December yet.
It's almost December.
Tyler Briggs, what do you think of Multiple Man / X23?
Multiple Man... I'm just excited. I think James Franco is like one of the best choices for that. I don't know who else would be, but I don't know.
I think
it's gonna be really fun.
Oh, okay.
He
could be in the sequel.
He could be his dad.
His dad.
Yeah.
Multiple dads.
Multiple dad.
Multiple Man Senior. Multiple Senior.
Oof. But yeah, no, I just think that movie's great. I don't think there's a whole lot to say on it. Just James Franco.
We don't know. This movie could never ever
other copies of James Franco.
Yeah.
I just think that's gonna be hilarious, and I just want to see the credits of just like Multiple Man 1 through 20, and it's just all James Franco.
I want to be like extra number 2. Like,
if it doesn't happen with Fox, they should still make a movie where James Franco plays like every character in this movie.
I think that's honestly how it happened. Was he was thinking of an idea where he could play multiple things of himself, and so I was like, oh yeah, there's a comic book character like that. Seth Rogen's a big fan of comics, so maybe sometimes like, oh, let's go to Fox. And that's the thing I like Fox. They're just like, yeah, let's just make this fucking Multiman movie with James Franco.
Yeah.
Makes no sense. It's the most random thing ever. But it's like, yeah, let's just do it. They don't even have to say it's an X-Men movie. Just make it a fun movie and people go see it, you know? Like, yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's just gonna be great whenever that happens. X-23, I could actually see her doing like her being like one of the main roles without any too close supporting characters. I think seeing her skills from Logan, she has the potential to pull off a movie that centers around her sort of solo adventures, and only without much of talking, mostly just through her communication with facial expressions, postures, and whatnot. I think it's possible, and I think if anyone has
Ryan Gosling in that Blade Runner.
Any I think if there's any child actor out there that can do it, I think it's her.
Yeah.
For sure.
Wow.
But
Okay.
I don't think that's the road they're gonna go. I'd like to see them try that, because I think if she started talking all of a sudden, it would feel really weird.
She did talk at the end of Logan,
She did,
right? So it could be this progression.
I think it was a whole movie of her being much more expressive and talking a lot. I don't know how it would feel. Obviously, we'll see when it happens, but I think I would prefer if they can pull it off to do like mostly silent. I also hope they don't follow her, like just her and that group of kids. I hope it's mostly her. Maybe one of the kids is with her for the start, but they kind of go off and do their own thing.
Yeah.
She kills them off.
Yeah.
Could be.
Could be.
That's a twist.
I don't think
In the
they'll
first
be.
5 minutes.
I honestly don't think they'd be in the movie. I think we'd pick up.
Yeah.
She'd just be somewhere in the world because they don't want to bring those kids back. You know?
So yeah, I'm excited for both those though. I think Fox is doing wonderful things, and I like how they're going for their just fuck it, throw out a bunch of standalones that are wacky ideas, and just roll with it, because they're at a high right now, and I think they can go even higher, or they can just cruise off that high and kind of do whatever they want. Because right now, I'd say they're almost at the point where it's critic proof. They put out a movie, people are gonna see it.
Well, I don't know if we'll see the next X-Men movie. I don't know about that.
New Mutants.
Oh, New Mutants,
good.
I forgot about that. I can't wait for New
It looks
Mutants.
good. Are people gonna go see it? I have fucking no clue.
But I think that'll be
people
such
will.
a small budget. I think they'll make
True.
it. It'll be Deadpool. Deadpool costs like $40
good,
million. Yeah. I think they'll make it back at least. So yeah.
So yeah, and I like how they're going away. How like we've got the big universe sort of grouping together movies with Marvel and DC, and then we have Fox just doing their own thing. And I think that it needs that diversity, because if they were doing the group ups, you'd be like, oh well, we have these other groups doing group ups. Why do we need to see all of them?
They're almost doing the reverse to get people to come, right?
Yeah,
Like if you're like, oh, I gotta watch 5 of these Marvel movies, like I'll just go see one Logan movie.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
One Logan movie.
One Logan movie.
There ain't gonna be a
There's
Logan
only
movie.
one Logan movie, so what are you gonna do? That's all you got.
Yeah, X-23, I'll start with that one. I think it'll be great because that child actress, I really liked her in Logan. I thought she did a phenomenal job, like with that role. It was just like, I don't think anyone could have done it better, really. Like she was solid.
With Tyler, she's up on the actress tier. You
Top 20.
Top 20.
She'll be the new Batman.
I'm down.
I'd watch it.
Yeah, I would not watch
I
it.
would definitely watch it.
Or James Franco's
Batgirl.
Man could be. Yeah.
It makes a little bit more sense, but
Yeah.
who knows?
Yeah,
Who knows?
I don't really have too much more to say on that. I think it'll be phenomenal. I think she'll talk a lot more, honestly.
Yeah.
Especially if it's like she's the main role. I feel like you kind of have to talk just to find out like more of a, like build up the character and find more about their backstory.
I kind of already know her backstory.
Yeah, but I don't know, some growth. I don't know.
Literally and figuratively.
Yeah, I really don't have much to say on X-23.
Fair enough.
I'll see it if it comes out.
Multiple Man.
But Multiple Man, that's the real kicker. That's why I kept that
What
one
if they're
last.
the same movie?
Oh God.
Multiple. I mean, he's Multiple Man.
Laura
You could have a
V,
James
Laura
Franco.
V multiple.
But James
Laura.
Franco.
People would not know.
I'm wondering if they're gonna call the movie that, because Logan, Laura, the elves, it's his daughter.
Someone goes
so
through
soon.
every X-Men movie filmed up in the past, 15 years?
Scott.
They're gonna
everyone.
call
James Franco
they're
is
gonna
in
call it
every single
Wolverine's
one of them.
kid.
And like far in the backgrounds, they'd be going for the longest con ever. in movie history.
That'd be amazing, actually.
They're taking the Valerian approach.
1,000 planets.
The city of 900,000 James Francos.
James Franco though, like he's easily on like the top 5 list of my favorite actors. Like
Wow,
no,
that's high
he's
praise.
no,
It's
like
easily
actually
too. Not
like
even
honestly, like
That's like top 3.
like yeah, top 3. Like seriously, like I love James Franco. Everything. I think he's a phenomenal actor. Like he has those like stoner flicks where he's just kind of like stupid comedy, but like he's actually such a good actor.
Yeah.
But Multiple Man though, like I feel like he's just like the perfect character to have just multiple versions of himself. Like it'll just be hilarious, and like he's just such a good actor that he could do hilarious character, and then like he's so many multiple versions of himself. He could be that evil character, right? Like he could be the pastor, like you said. Like he just like I feel like it'll just work out so well, and that'll be a movie that I feel like I'll really really enjoy.
He'd be Tommy Wiseau in Multiple Man.
Yes.
Does Multiple Man, is it one guy who splits off, or
Yeah.
can each one split off into more?
I believe it's just one guy. I can look it up because honestly, I've not read much Multiple Man because he is he is a super
You're the
super
resident
like
comic book
side
nerd,
character.
Travis.
But I believe it is just he has to spawn them. Probably there's some storylines where they found a way to spawn himself, but I believe the main crux is he spawns himself and then they go off or they can come back.
A murder mystery of just.
It could
Like
be
10
that.
James Francos
Yeah.
in one house.
Like,
all
it
trying
could
to figure out
honestly
which
be
one's
that.
evil.
It's like Clue. I think it was James Franco with the candlestick.
Which one?
Taylor, you're notorious. You're not a big fan of the X franchise, correct?
He hates them all.
Yeah. You think Logan was
Confirmed.
Logan, like, I mean, I never saw it in theaters. I mean, I didn't see it till you actually lent me the DVD a long time later.
Did you not see that?
My goodness.
Yeah.
Even then, I mean, like, it's definitely not up there as its, like, top favorite movie, I won't lie.
10 out of 10 Suicide Squad though. Let's bring that one back.
Logan, Suicide Squad, pretty similar.
But some of the X-Men movies, like, I liked X-Men First Class. I own that on DVD.
X-Men First Class is great.
It's a great movie.
It is.
But I think that, you know, I think child actors nowadays do a great job at delivering, like, a lot of power to their characters in film. And I think that, you know, she was fantastic in the movie. I think that, you know, if that does come around where we get that actual, like, X-23 film, I think, you know, I'd be very inclined to go see it. And, you know, for the Fox fans and stuff. And
Wow.
I'm sorry.
Where are you going?
You're very energetic with how you're delivering that.
Multiple Man, I have to say that
I'd like to see a Multiple Man movie played by Taylor.
I would pay so much money.
Oh yeah.
I'd be bankrupt if I could see that movie.
Yikes.
I've gone Kickstarter.
Oh.
Let us
donate
know,
all my
fans.
bank account.
Let us know, fans.
Yeah. I'll live on the streets to see that movie.
That would be
Easily.
quite a
Then you'll
feature
get to
film.
see it after all the time.
You guys would like me, right?
Mm.
Wow. No response from you.
No, I think, you know, I love seeing James Franco tackle all these different roles. He's definitely, like, he's a great actor. I think he's hilarious. I think this is another role that I would love to see him in. And, I mean, just multiple James Francos. I mean, well, what can go wrong with multiple James Francos? I mean, it's
One of them
like,
might turn evil.
one of them, yeah, I mean, literally
It could go wrong.
throughout, like, my entire life, I've got movies with James Franco playing different roles. Now I get to have him playing those different roles in one movie condensed.
You don't get it yet. It's not
Yeah.
confirmed.
Well, I hope it'll be
Coming out
confirmed.
February.
Some say he's
Confirmed.
only played
Heard it
one
here
role.
first.
Same as all the
One
fans
role.
from
Yeah,
December.
by like 10 different times.
We should write a
in
script,
the same
send it
shot.
in.
We got a shot, you know. You got James Franco directed, possibly Academy Award nominated film disaster artist coming up, and then you got GeekVerse podcast. You know, the scripts, I think they know which way they're gonna go.
Exactly.
Man, we got business
Who
cards.
wouldn't pick the GeekVerse podcast?
Oh, I don't know, a crazy person.
Crazy people.
That's all you have to add?
Yeah.
Okay, this one might just be for Dylan and Kirkland, but I wanted to bring it up because there's rumors that Sony is planning on making a Morbius spin-off film. So for people that don't know who Morbius, he is a Spider-Man villain. He is Morbius the living vampire. Michael Morbius had a tragic accident.
He likes to suck people's plasma.
Yeah, in the comic or in the anime show when they can't say blood, it's plasma. So, yeah, that's all the word is right now. That I think the word was too that it'd be rated R, so it sounds similar to Venom, and it'd be in the Spider-Man universe they're creating. Yeah, I don't know what to say about this. I'm not a fan. I'm not even a fan of the Venom movie coming up happening because I want to see these characters with Spider-Man first. We've talked about this before. Venom, the way I've talked about it, I've been like, okay, I could see it happening, and we'll talk about Venom in the future. But Morbius the Vampire, I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't think that character has enough oomph to him on his own.
No.
I understand for sure.
I totally agree.
And I mean, I only know one incarnation of the character, but
that's him though. Like that's a good incarnation.
Sure.
Of him, except for the plasma.
except for the plasma and the weird hands. He has really weird hands, but yeah, a big part of it is like his dynamic with Spider-Man and Felicia Hardy in particular. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I don't think that would. I'm trying to picture like what the fuck you even do with. I can't even picture off the top of my head like a storyline you could do with this movie that would agree be interesting. Yeah. I mean,
who would you cast? Not James Franco.
Oh well, put me on the spot.
I'm trying to think. Who's like creepy? Like who is like the?
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah, Jake Gyllenhaal's not too bad.
Put Jake Gyllenhaal. You could do James Franco. I'm
gonna throw it out. You'll hate it because you're hate on from lately. But Michael Fassbender, I'd love to see him. Dude, he can do the accent. He's gonna walk around looking for plasma. You know.
So he's gonna be in the MCU now.
Yeah, well, whatever. Fuck it. Well, they have said, remember, Venom in this is in the MCU.
Right.
It's just in a Spider-Man universe.
Yeah.
We don't know if Tom Holland can appear in these movies or not because they still own Spider-Man. So it's still that until Venom comes out, we're still always gonna be this limbo of like, what the fuck is like, what is this movie?
I'm inclined to want to like. I would want them to cast someone around like Tom Holland's age looking at least and maybe have them come together at some point.
They'll cast this fucking 40, 50-year-old guy.
Yeah.
Like Tom Hardy's supposed to be like maybe 5 to 10 years older and he's like fucking 30 years older than Tom Holland, so they'll get Michael Douglas.
Michael Doug.
No, he can't. He's an Ant-Man.
He's an Ant-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know who they'd cast.
Ryan Gosling.
So sorry, is this is just a rumor right now?
It was a report, yeah. But the reason I think it's valid because Venom was a report and then it like happened. So
that seems weird because people don't know who Morbius is.
Not at all.
They really don't. Venom, on the other hand, everyone knows
who Multiple Man is.
True, but
Multiple Man can carry a movie.
And I guess with James Franco, so maybe
isn't Multiple Man? That's not the character. He's in X-Men 3, right?
He's in like 2-3 minutes of X-Men.
Yeah. 3. That's how I know the character.
Yeah,
I know who that character is.
I guess, but I think
I forgot. No one knows who the fuck Morbius is.
It could be like a James Franco thing if they get a big enough star, and I think they could, because that's the only reason we got excited for Venom, right?
Yeah.
Was, Tom Hardy's there. Let's see what he'll do, you know? So if they get someone like a Ryan Gosling, something like that, maybe. I don't know.
The thing is, I think it could be a good movie. For me, it's just a big question mark. I just don't know what they'll do with it. Like I'm trying to even picture what they'd show in a trailer. I have no fucking clue. Like it's really interesting.
Well, they showed Morbius.
It's such a bizarre pick. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not opposed to it. I just you got to sell me on it first. I mean, I'll go see either way because
I'd rather see him in a Spider-Man movie.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I'd rather see him in a Venom movie.
Yeah. Well, I think that might be part of this universe.
Right.
And they'll do a team up with Venom and Morbius.
Yeah, but do you think Morbius wouldn't be in Venom coming out though, right?
No, but maybe there's a mention of like a Michael Morbius. There's a scientist experimenting. We can see him and like no. Like say when Doctor Strange was mentioned in Winter Soldier, and you didn't see him for a while. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Marvel retrospective. Yeah. The Hydra wanted to kill him. Check out our Marvel retrospective. We'll be talking about it in a few months. Kirkland, Spider-Man is your favorite superhero of all time, right?
Absolutely.
So obviously, you're a big fan of the animated series. You've talked about that with some of the comics you read. Mm-hmm. Any feelings of Michael Morbius?
I feel like it's not the right character to do a standalone film on. I don't know. Like for me personally, I kind of forgot about him. Honestly, like he's no like Scorpion. He's no Mysterio. He's no like a signature villain.
Mysterio.
Like Mysterio, if they did a standalone,
like,
no, you can't do a standalone. Some people said that Mysterio can't have a standalone.
Just the magician, you know.
It would just be Doctor Strange.
You know, Chris Angel
with no powers though.
He's just putting on magic.
He just uses
street magic.
He uses VFX. So he's not Doctor Strange.
Chris Angel, exactly. Yeah.
Chris Angel as Morbius. Good pick.
Yes, I'm down for that movie. Love Chris Angel.
Yeah, I really don't know how I feel about it. Like I don't know, cause like
you can only feel confused, right?
Exactly no, like 100% because I won't feel like it's attached to Spider-Man whatsoever unless they mention a character that's in it. Like I don't even know.
Anime. Morbius dates anime.
Like that's the only like connection to the Spider-Man world. Like
he's getting some plasma.
Like honestly, he takes all that plasma.
Use protection while you get plasma, folks.
Gobbling up that plasma.
You know, I feel like to do like a standalone character, I feel like Hobgoblin would be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be
but every time I say this, I say no because I just want to see him with Spider-Man.
I always want to see him.
I know, yeah. It's really hard to say. Venom is the one character that I feel like has the exception that can have a standalone, because he has so many like there's so many times I feel like I don't know like too much about the comics, but I feel like he wasn't necessarily like required to be with Spider-Man to have like Venom stuff going on. Because he'd be fighting other
only
symbiotes,
his origin
right?
would be.
Yeah.
Right? That's the thing they gotta figure out with this movie.
Yeah, because
how does he shoot webs with no Spider-Man? Does he shoot webs?
That's
he
an age-old
just
question.
jumps.
Yeah.
He just jumps.
What's your power?
Philosophers have been debating that question for centuries.
Yeah, like I it's a huge question mark, just like Dylan said. Like it's just, I don't know. Like you said, it's not confirmed, right?
No, it's not.
No,
but
yeah.
I think it's gonna happen. I think
Really?
Sony loves making these. I think they're making a Black Cat movie, solo
Yeah.
movie. Like I think they're just like, oh, we gave up Spider-Man, but we still got their characters, so let's make some money. Tyler and Taylor, I'm not sure if you had any thoughts.
I, for one, am really excited for these because I have no idea what they're going to be. I'm excited for the same reason you guys are confused. I think I think it's great that they're trying something new and going for something that we have no idea what's going to happen.
That's
and
true.
so I think either way, the movie, whether it doesn't go well or it blows us out of the water and we're all super excited about it, I think either way it's going to be a really fun time seeing these movies and reviewing them and talking about them.
It's an interesting point because Spider-Man, of all Marvel or comic book characters, I feel like he has the most like cool villains.
Yeah.
But you're not gonna have the time in the day to, unless you have a Spider-Man movie every single year, you're never gonna get through them all.
do it.
So why not make some solo movies where they just go off and pop off on their own?
That's true.
Tom Holland is pretty young though. We could, if they signed him to a 50-year deal, we could get through them
50.
all. Oh, 100%.
You could, sure, you could, but will you?
I
No.
I just want him to play Spider-Man until
65-year-old
he's like
Spider-Man.
40.
I agree with you, Tyler, though. Like it is kind of exciting to see where it goes, because I feel like since if they're not choosing like a big Spider-Man villain, like there's not big expectations. So if it blows people out of the water, it's awesome. But if it bombs, it's not the worst thing.
I guess
honestly.
that's true. I guess my worry is too, if we do Morbius, we do Black Cat, we do Venom, we've done Vulture, Scorpion's in there already, Shocker's been done. Who are we going to do for these Spider-Man Homecoming movies? I don't want to see Doc Ock, and I love Doc Ock, but I've already seen him. Mysterio, I want to, but that's my worry. I don't want him to be in this pocket. Because to me, this pocket of the universe, I can be excited, but then also I feel like it means like these people can't be in Spider-Man. So then like, there's Kraven. Okay, I really want to see Kraven. I know we'll get our 5th Green Goblin at some point. That's fine with me as long as Michael C. Hall plays him, But like, I don't want all these characters for the first time to be wasted. Not wasted, it could be good, but I want to see them with Spider-Man. That's the reason why we can have a Joker movie, because we've seen him with Batman 5 different times. Like now we can do solo stuff. Like I want to see Venom and Spider-Man. I want to see Morbius and Spider-Man.
Yeah, but like the stuff with that is
no, you're wrong.
like if they plan to make all these like standalone movies with like these side characters in the Spider-Man universe, and they have Spider-Man in every single one, if one's bad, it kind of impacts like Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like so, I can kind of see like why they'd stick away, but it's still such a huge question mark.
I still wonder if they can do the thing when their contract runs out with Marvel after Spider-Man Homecoming 2, if they can just take them and just put them in these movies retroactively, and that's what I'm really concerned about. Like Venom Morbius doing well, and like, hey, Spider-Man's out of the MCU now, and he's in the Venom U or whatever, and it's like...
The Venom U.
Oh. Taylor,
The Venom U.
I definitely really like Mysterio. I remember playing that Spider-Man 2 on GameCube.
Well, they're not making the Mysterio movie.
No, I feel like, but that being said,
That's next year.
I'd want Mysterio with the Tom Holland Spider-Man. I feel like he'd be much better suited as a villain with him.
It's played by Steve Buscemi.
Oh,
Oh yes.
That voice in the fishbowl.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Hi,
Thinking of
kids.
like
He can say that in high school.
thinking of like Morbius and stuff. I don't know, it could be cool, but at the
You had
same
any
time,
experience with Morbius?
I've never had any plasma experience. I can tell you that much. I
You should.
feel like
Big plasma.
big plasma. I feel like villains.
Literally big. He can do it with the hands.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I just want plasma.
I think
Yeah.
I don't know. Different villains. I mean, I feel like Venom at the end of the day.
talking? I
What?
felt like you started to say something. You'd be like, different villains. You keep ending with and like, what's next?
I'm
I
just
don't
picturing
know.
fucking Taylor.
So many cliffhangers.
I'm just picturing Mysterio and Steve Buscemi right now.
That's good.
I'm thinking of all the possibilities.
I like Octopus.
Okay. That was that. You're out. You're out. Dr. Octopus.
Hip Hop Anonymous.
But I feel like at the end of the day, he's very much attached to Spider-Man again, which is the same point like Venom. He's straight up attached to Spider-Man, which is kind of weird. But I mean, I want to see that standalone film. But that being said, I feel like, you know, Sandman could even be kind of cool thrown in there. I mean, I feel like he could have a dark kind of
Thrown in there.
thrown in there.
It's already been done.
Morbius
He was already
Sandman.
thrown in there.
Well, I know, and he had such good chemistry with Venom. I want to see more of that.
What a great movie that
Oh
was.
god. Oh god.
Venom Sandman standalone. So soon. Going at it.
Venom Beast Sandman.
Yeah.
But in the trailer, Spider-Man's there.
Yeah, just like.
But like the thing, because you said the freaking Morbius. That's
Morbius.
Yeah, okay.
More biased.
I almost said
The
I
living
almost said
vampire.
I
Morbius.
almost said Morpheus. That's his cousin. Morbius. You said that would be an R-rated movie, right?
That's
Or,
the
like,
room that'd be rated
I
R.
feel
Same
like-
thing as Venom's rated
Yeah,
R.
like,
You know,
you're talking
vampires
about
are pretty
Spider-Man.
popular.
I feel like you can't put that in an R-rated
No, I
film.
know,
Like
no.
definitely not. Like you'd want to stay away from that.
What, Spider-Man?
Yeah.
Right?
Unless he's
Yeah.
doing some drugs.
I mean, it's been a few
He's
years
a
since
dark.
since
That's
the
when he was
Twilight
Dark
days,
Spider-Man.
So
Black Spider-Man.
It's been what, sir?
it's been a few years since the Twilight days. Maybe people are down for some more vampire
Oh,
action.
I'm down.
Resurgence.
I think they could do.
He is quick to answer.
I mean, I hate Twilight, but
Who did-
actually I don't hate Twilight.
Was it
I have
Robert
no, I have no
Patrick? No,
opinion.
Robert Patrick. That's Terminator 2. Who played
Patterson.
Patterson.
Well, yeah, he plays Morbius.
Oh no, okay, I wouldn't see it. No, I'd still would see it, but
Yeah.
I don't want to see it. But
What?
I don't know. I think they could do. I think they could do some cool standalone villain things.
Okay.
I have some ideas in my mind that I might give them. You know, I don't
You
want
might
to.
give
I don't
them-
You want to share them with the viewers?
No,
Give us
sorry.
one idea.
Give us one. And if it's Steve Buscemi, I'm down.
As
Well, get
Morbius.
this.
I'm down.
There's a fishbowl.
Oh shit. Yeah.
That's it. No, I was just leading you on.
Great movie.
But, yeah.
Is that-
And Steve Buscemi
It's
walks
Aquaman.
through the
Aquaman. That's the twist of Aquaman.
I'm
It's all in
honestly
the
just
fishbowl.
like running the Mysterio as Steve Buscemi like film through my head. like how he goes to the school to like show kids magic and then they all like make fun of him and he like
That's-
goes evil. Like,
I have that picture of Steve Buscemi. It's like, hey kids, or whatever.
So the
Or whatever.
Morbius's story
Or whatever.
is that he like gets turned into a vampire.
A living vampire, yes, yeah.
not
So
a
I don't know. I think it'd be cool if it started out as just like a
Actually, he goes
classic
full-
horror film.
Mm.
Just like there's a bunch of like people who you think are the main characters are like the good people. They're doing their thing, and then this vampire starts preying on them,
Mm.
and you kind of get behind the scenes of Morbius kind of becoming the vampire.
Mm.
And the whole film is you don't really realize it's attached to Spider-Man.
Mm.
It's just a classic vampire horror film, and then at the very end, instead of the good guys winning, Morbius actually ends up killing everyone, and he kind of becomes the Spider-Man villain. And at the very end, there's like a little hint towards him being part of the Spider-Man universe.
Yeah.
I think that'd be really cool if they did something like that.
That was a good visual adaptation.
And what if you call it the living vampire? It's like, you don't.
They have
Yeah.
to call Morbius
No, they
the
don't.
living vampire.
No.
No, Morbius the living
Why?
vampire.
They have to.
I don't know. They don't have to, but
I think they'd be more well off to say
call
the
the
living
living
vampire.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
I think that'd be really cool. And
Hey, Taylor raised his hand. Let him talk.
yeah, well, I'm not done talking. He raised his hand because he's ready to wait until I.
That's the whole point of raising the hand.
Hurry up
Yeah.
and wait.
Taylor, you can talk.
What's the difference between a living
Oh,
vampire?
I knew you were gonna ask that.
Yeah.
I fucking knew.
The difference is Morbius.
Yeah.
Or
Okay?
lies,
It's because he
vampires are
doesn't
dead.
suck on blood, he sucks on plasma.
Oh no, he does suck on
Big
blood.
plasma.
He does suck on blood. He just
Plasma.
couldn't do that back in the day because he was on the animated show. So you'll find out in like 2020 or something.
Cool.
2020.
This could be one that's for debate. I don't know. Amazon is officially making a Lord of the Rings TV series.
They sure
Do
are.
you need Amazon Prime to watch it?
Probably, yeah.
Sweet, I have Amazon Prime.
Like subscribe the whole time?
Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't sure
I
if it was like a
mean,
free month thing
yeah.
or not. Yeah.
But
But
yeah,
so,
I have it, so we can all hang out and watch it.
of course.
With my
Ah,
account.
I'm busy.
Yeah. Yikes. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just really happy that I have Amazon Prime.
I think it's a good idea.
Okay.
I don't think it can get sponsor us. I don't think it can get any worse than The Hobbit. The Hobbit didn't ruin Lord of the Rings legacy. This could be something great if we would just stop. Like I love Shadow of Mordor. Like there's
Yeah.
other great stuff we've got in video games as well. There's other short stories they can touch upon that haven't been touched upon yet. So I think it's good. All I want to make sure is that they have the budget to do this. The good thing is Amazon is fucking filthy rich. They're not in debt like Netflix because they don't just sell TV, they sell everything, right? So they're always making money. So I think they got a chance. And if this show is a Game of Thrones level like quality, this can really... Amazon is already a good like streamer, but I think this could get them... This could be like their House of Cards, their Stranger Things. This could be their thing that, hey, I gotta get Amazon Prime now so I could watch Lord of the Rings, whether it's weekly or stream or binge. I think it's a good idea, and I'm excited to be in that world, and I hope it's better than The Hobbit. I think this could be the Force Awakens of Lord of the Rings that we need. I don't want a remake of the movies. This could just be that, like, oh, I feel like I'm back where I was. Yeah,
totally back in the universe.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, a big difference between The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings is obviously that The Hobbit was a lot more colorful, a lot more CGI. Like, it was really over the top. And I think, you know, if they're making a Lord of the Rings show, obviously it'll logically like be more like Lord of the Rings movies, where it's I guess more
gotta
like,
go practical.
there's a lot more practical effects and a lot more like character development and stuff like that. But also look at, you know, Game of Thrones and how popular that is and how much that show is like just dialogue really, and there isn't even like the sets are very basic in comparison
There's not that many
to
huge action
the crazy shit they do in the Hobbit movies. And so I kind of hope it's more in that realm, even though I'm not a huge Game of Thrones fan for whatever reason. But I mean, if you go back to our top 10 movies, Lord of the Rings is my favorite movie of all time. Like, I love those movies so much. So I'm cautiously curious at this point because I don't know what they're gonna do. I don't know if it's gonna be after or before the movies.
Rumors it's before Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
It's gonna be they have said that some stories that token
after The Hobbit, before Lord of the Rings.
I think it's going to be very loose on these short stories.
Yeah.
I think they're going to do their best to kind of adapt something.
Yeah, either way, the lore of this world is so cool and so deep, and so I'm excited, but still, like I go in with a question mark. I'm not sure what it will be like. But this is like, for me, like whatever the cost is to subscribe to Amazon, I'm gonna do it to watch the show. So they've already got my money pretty much. Unless I hear that it's like complete garbage and it just makes you sad.
And I'm not saying it's like they need A+ talent. They just need like Lord of the Rings very talented actors. Most of the actors in Lord of the Rings were not A stars. Like they weren't like
Viggo Mortensen.
Yeah, and neither was The Hobbit, I guess. But I just mean like I want the characters are the most important things in Lord of the Rings. So they need to get a killer cast. The same thing as Game of Thrones. Like people follow those characters, not the story. Like they do, but you know what I mean. So.
Yeah, I feel like. Or sorry, what did you say? Was it a 3-set movie or like
no, it's a
TV show?
TV series.
Oh, okay, yeah. I feel like because it has Lord of the Rings on it, like I feel like I'd be going into it with really high expectations. Like if it sucks, like I'll be so disappointed and I'll just be like be mad because like I literally haven't even seen The Hobbit because I've just heard bad things. I don't want to go in there and just be like, oh, why did I waste my time? Decision.
They're not the worst movies ever. It's just they're just not Lord of the Rings.
I don't want to spend my time on it.
To me, there's a bit of a difference. Like I think Lord of the Rings, obviously for me, it's my favorite, so I'm a little bit biased, but I feel like it's kind of established itself, and no matter what they do, if they add more shit, it's not going to change those movies for me, and those are always going to be my favorite movies. I don't think if this is shit, I'm going to look down on those.
Well, the thing with this is I like that it's like original, like it's not like The Hobbit, like I've read the book, so I don't want to go see the movies, right? You know, like I really enjoyed the book. The trilogy was just like it's probably the greatest trilogy actually ever. Yeah.
In my opinion.
And so the TV show. It's nice, like it's not like I've read it and then like going into it and see how they adapt it from the book sort of thing. So it will be cool being original, but because it's in that Middle Earth like universe, I don't want it to suck because I'll just be depressed. But I don't know, like I said, I'm going with high expectations, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I just don't want it to suck, honestly.
Yeah. I've said I'm in a very similar boat. I think I don't think I don't have as high of an opinion as Lord of the Rings as you guys. I think it's an absolutely phenomenal series.
Hey man, you're the one last week who's like, hey man, we gotta do a Lord of the Rings.
They're wonderful films, but I haven't thought about them enough or even seen them enough to really think about them as where I would place them in my rating system. They're up pretty high though.
Yeah.
But,
with a little swivel of the hand.
Yeah, a little swivel of the hand. They could go like up or down a couple places.
Yeah, anyway.
But So I think I'm definitely gonna be going into this with excessively high expectations. Yeah. Like if it's not like phenomenal, like I wouldn't even say if it's not like Hannibal level. of TV.
Well, nothing's helpful about Hannibal. Let's not kid ourselves.
Well, if it's not like phenomenal level, I'll be disappointed. But I'm still super excited for this, and I think it's gonna be. I hope it's gonna be wonderful.
What?
Yeah.
Matt should be in the show.
He should.
He should be like a fucking
He should be
wizard.
Aragorn's father.
He should be a wizard.
Aragorn.
So we can see Matt with a big white beard.
I'd be down to. I just want to see another wizard for sure. That's what I want.
We'll get one for sure.
But yeah.
Tom Bobbelon or whatever.
Tom Bobbelon.
Young Gandalf.
But like
Blah.
comparing it to like the trilogy though, like I'm obviously not gonna be like comparing it to the
There's no
trilogy.
such thing as a young Gandalf. He's like
Yeah,
born as like a fucking
I know.
old man.
You explain this.
Put your hand there.
Anyway, go on. Yeah, put your damn hand up.
Yeah, but like whatever. Just go ahead. Dave. No, I was just saying I'm like comparing it to the movies. Like I'm obviously not gonna be like, oh, I want to see this grand adventure. I just want to see like that universe and like just be like go back into Middle Earth, right? Like I want to like see them smoking their big pipes and like talking about like their beer that they're drinking, like their dance festivals and like Hobbiton and all that stuff. Like it's just
Hobbiton.
Hobbiton.
I actually don't want
Tomato.
I actually don't want any connection to the Ring as well.
Oh yeah.
Because I think that's the
I
thing.
feel like they have to mention
Like the
that
horror
big
movies?
event.
They can mention. Well, the thing is, they can mention talk about battles, but I just want this more for like people trying to take over land or battles between different countries or whatever. Like I don't want because that's sometimes for me where the games like Shadow of Mordor for me it's like we have to hamstring in this ring and I don't like when we had too much backstory.
Well, it's in that era, right?
That's the
I feel
problem.
like
I
that's
hope
like-
that it's somewhere else where they're just dealing with their own problems and they're we're like, hey, dwarves and men are at war with each other right now. Let's just go off on that. I don't want to be like, oh, and there's this like in The Hobbit when they're just like, yeah, apparently there's this man named Strider and he's out there.
Yeah.
And then when Legolas meets Aragorn, it's like, oh, hi, like they didn't do that. But like, oh, I'm Legolas.
Oh,
like,
hi!
like that's problem. Like with The Hobbit, they did a lot of that of like hinting around, like, oh, there's something happening. It's like I don't want that because the movies didn't say that was happening, so let's ignore that. So I don't want. They can talk about like there's some evil out there, but I don't want fucking. I don't know, Ian McKellen popping up being like, hey, do you know what the library is so I can check where this ring is? Like, oh, no, sir, it's over there. Like, I don't want that.
Yikes.
You end up being last of all these conversations.
Yeah,
Good.
you know,
Jump
just
in there.
chilling.
Just chilling, you know.
He's
it's
brewing
all
the
right.
thoughts.
Jumping
Yeah,
like Stephanie
Ruin
was.
the thoughts. So,
Nice.
you know, Amazon Prime, I don't have any experience with Amazon Prime, but you know, I mean, good
It's
for
a great
them.
time.
Not even ordering with them? You haven't tried the free month? I'd highly recommend.
Well, the only thing I've done with
I
the
was
3
waiting
month
for it.
was to get
Hold on to it.
pre-order bonuses for Assassin's Creed Origins. That was the only reason I signed up for Amazon Prime. I canceled it because that's $70 a year. I was like, oh, I don't want to do that. So,
How much money do you spend on Xbox Live a year?
not $70.
How much?
At least they give me the
Spend
option
like
to.
60.
I can pay like monthly, you know. I didn't see the option to do that with Amazon Prime.
I
It was
think
like a
you can
solid
do that.
$70 or whatever. I was
That
like,
blank check.
I don't know. It's not a lot of money. That's less than
I don't know. They're
$10 a month.
Xbox Live, you know.
I don't know, you
get
just
some
bought
good
the
stuff.
Great Wall like at fucking Mr. Bean at a discount.
Mr.
Don't talk
Bean,
to me about
Rowan
this.
Atkinson, legend of his time.
Okay, what do you think about Lord of the Rings?
Yeah.
I think, you know, I own all the Hobbits movies in Steelcase.
Okay, let's talk about Lord of the Rings now.
I mean, I enjoyed the Hobbit movies. That was a wild ride, but I mean, Lord of the Rings
It
was
was
like.
wild, right?
You're not wrong.
I like when he
That
knows.
scene when he's in that barrel going
Oh,
through the fucking
God.
river and he's just like doing
I had
gainers
some
and
good
shit.
chuckles. in
My
that part.
favorite thing is I love how I always am interested to see how Taylor describes things that he knows are not well liked. So it's just like a wild ride, you know, like whatever the adjective he was using for Justice League earlier too. It's always like things you wouldn't use to review stuff most of the time.
Very neutral.
Yeah, unless you're at an
Ambiguous.
amusement park.
This movie's a real go-getter.
Yeah. Man, it tips the scales, eh? What does that mean?
Yeah, you know, I think compared to Lord of the Rings, I mean, Lord of the Rings, those practical effects.
Offense.
It's Boba Fett's
Boba Fett. Yeah.
I don't know. I think they nailed it. Lord of the Rings is definitely like out of all the trilogies I've seen, it's definitely like in the top 3.
Oh,
probably
yeah,
2
he wasn't gonna put it over
trilogies.
that prequel Star Wars trilogy.
No, I can't. Yeah, no.
Eddie!
He's serious too.
Oh, yeah.
No, I'm not serious.
Nice.
I think you know,
recovery.
I don't want them to like look at Lord of the Rings and be like, okay, how can we kind of compete with this or kind of compare to this? I want them to just put that aside and be okay, Lord of the Rings was great, we acknowledge that. Let's create our own thing that is just in its own element, its own world, that has power to it, and that would be great. And I think that it's before all the films. I think that's perfect. That's absolutely outstanding.
I don't know if it's before The Hobbit. Like,
I hope it would be.
I don't know that.
I really hope it would be, because I feel like then there's stories between The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, but then I feel like it puts on a schedule where they have to follow certain rules between that storyline. Yes, they're following rules based on short stories or whatever that's written by Tolkien beforehand, but that being said, at least it's outside of that stretch of time that they can add to their own like characters and development and all this depth to story-wise and everything like that. I feel like it just sets them up for a little bit more creativity, and I feel like there's just so much that was just kind of hinted at, like the battles and stuff, and and that even like, yes, it all had to do with the ring, but even like you said, like man versus dwarves and stuff like that would be like awesome.
There's a reason elves and dwarves hate each other, right? We can get into that in the show.
Elves versus dwarves, that would be absolutely outstanding. I'd love to see that, because we never got to see that. It was like
it was like the scales. Yeah.
Tip of the iceberg was gonna happen in The Hobbit, and they're like, no, we're not gonna give that to you. It was like, no. And like, I feel like this could actually like. I feel like this could, give us that, like...
You know what? This joke, it brought to the ground more than the fucking Jedi joke. Because I said one thing one time about a fucking actress just having a big career, and I had my hands like this. And now, it's going to be...
You did this to yourself!
Sexist things, I was going big.
Hilarious, because I wasn't even there and I started doing
it just catches on.
You can always tell when we haven't done a newscast in a while. We kind of just
pop off. Yeah,
we really tip the scales.
I got some quick TV news I'm shouting about. They renewed American Vandal for season 2 on Netflix. That's great. I'm excited to see that. Everyone should watch The Runaways. It's on Hulu. It's great. I had kind of semi-alright expectations for it. It's a Marvel series. If you don't know what it is, it's about a group of kids that find out that their parents are supervillains and they're in a cult and they decide to run away. It's great, but the characters are great in this. I've not read too much, but people love this comic book, and it's a lot more mature than I thought it was going to be, so that's great. Another thing is kind of somewhere in the middle for me. I might still do a solo review of it, but I read Doomsday Clock. I should do this in the DC section, but it's the first ever Watchmen and DC crossover. It's great. Like I said, I'm going to do maybe a solo review, so I'll get that eventually, but if you love or like Watchmen, very similar. It's going to be big, slow burns. They're doing 12 issues, so 1 issue every month, and yeah, it's very interesting seeing what they're doing. I really like what they're doing with Rorschach. Don't want to spoil that, but yeah, I'm very excited to see more of Doomsday. Yeah, so far it's good, but you can take a new.
Yeah, The Runaways. From the idea when they announced it, I like looked into the characters a little bit, and it seemed like an interesting story. So I might check it out.
Doing this weird thing though. They released 3 episodes, and then they're gonna release 3 like I think next week or something. So they're not the same as Netflix. So it's like I don't really like that, but. They were really good 3 episodes, so.
Interesting.
Do we have any other movie or TV news we want to shout out or talk about before we jump into the gaming news? Okay, go.
Jurassic World 2 dropped a nice little teaser.
We were not going to talk about that later.
But we're going to talk about that in a completely different time,
Wow. Any other movie news? Check out our 2018 preview that we may or may not film before 2018. Any other movie news? No?
No, sir.
Jumping into gaming news. Someone take over.
Well, I'll start off with a quickie. So a few weeks ago, there was the Paris Games Conference thing. I don't actually know what the event is, but
it's just for PlayStation.
Yeah, I guess Sony announced some games. For me, the standout is Spelunky 2 because going back once again, top 10 video games of all time. Spelunky was
number 11.
It was somewhere on my list. It made it in the top 10.
Yeah.
And I was. Just because it was an indie game, and I wasn't sure with indie games like that, if sometimes you just don't really get a sequel. The developer just has a new cool idea, and they go off and do that. And that's kind of what Derek Yu, the creator of Spelunky, has kind of been doing. He's had like the next 2 games he's done are just like nowhere in the realm of what Spelunky is as a game. But yeah, so I was really excited to see Spelunky 2 announcement. I don't know, like there's no information yet on what this game will be. I'm really curious if it will follow the same like structure of how the game works right now, and if it'll just add like more secret areas and weapons and enemies and all that. But either way, I'm super excited. I think one thing I really want to see is like co-op multiplayer, like co-op online, because the co-op is really fun, but it's tricky because you're always like on one like player's camera, right? Because it is co-op, and it makes it tricky. I mean, they could have done split screen, but I don't know. I just really want some online co-op for that game, and like I think a level editor would be cool because there is a unofficial level editor that community made for the game, and it just like offered so much more. Like people would make like stories, people would make like puzzle maps, people would make like adventure maps and stuff like that. So I think it would be really cool if that was actually implemented in the game and easier, and more people could get a hold of it, and you could go on and download other people's maps easily rather than having to do it through like, you know, downloading random files.
Spelunky Maker.
You could call it Spelunky Maker. I think that's been done before. But or they could just call it Frozelunky, which was what the mod was, and just have that quick shout out.
I have a quick question, because you said it was like a PlayStation comp. Is that going to be PlayStation only?
I'm not sure. So when Spelunky first came out, it was on Xbox only, and then it came to PC next, and then it eventually came to like Vita and like everything. So eventually it hit everywhere. I'm not sure if it, because like there's literally like no information now. So it was just like a trailer that wasn't even, didn't have any gameplay.
They
it was
must
just like
have some
teaser.
deal though, because that's how they ended their pre-show. This was on Spelunky, so I imagine they either got like a, maybe not count PC because PC is different, but for console, like console exclusive timed or something like that.
I would think it's timed because, I don't know, I mean, it was originally on like Xbox, and even like the original Spelunky was like a PC, like a flash game on like the internet. So I think it'll go everywhere eventually.
Yeah.
If it starts with PS4, no problem with me, I have one, but yeah, I mean, Spelunky, anytime I get a chance to plug this game and tell everyone to go play it, none of you have done that by the way yet.
No.
But it is one of the greatest games of all time, so yeah. I'm super excited for the second one.
Yeah, I'll shout out in that same conference. I can't remember too much about it, but there was the game called Ghost. I'm very excited for that.
Ghost of something or other?
Yeah, Chumazima or something. I don't know. I don't know. But Sucker Punch, it's a new game. They made the Infamous series, and it just looked like a really, really cool game. I put that, like, that's on my anticipated game, just from the trailer. It looks very cool. So, yeah.
Nice.
I have, before we get into the big thing, because I know what you're going to rant about, I have the top, or I just have the MPD list. We can do the top 10, but the best-selling games of October for, I don't know, all consoles. So, you're
what is
one. NPD, I don't know what it actually stands for. But that's just what it's called. The list.
Never Play Dead.
Let's see.
Never Play Dead.
Yeah, that's what it says.
Non-prioritized destruction.
Yep, that one too.
It says from the, according to the industry tracking group, NPD group. So it seems like they probably track a lot of stuff with video games. But I can find
out. It's like the New York Police Department.
I can find
point decisions.
I can find that out while you're talking, but here are the top 10 games. Number 1, Middle-earth Shadow of War. Number 2, Assassin's Creed Origins. Number 3, Super Mario Odyssey. 4, South Park, The Fractured Butthole. 5, NBA 2K18. FIFA 18 at 6. 7, WWE 2K. 8, Madden NFL. 9, Destiny 2. 10, Forza Sport. And then for 3 big things, Grand Theft Auto was not in the top 10 for the first time in quite a while. And then 2 games that debuted.
Is that since the first time since it's come out? Or is it kind of dipped in?
I think it's been probably at least a year and a half. Like, it's been quite a while. So, and then the 2 big stories that were also on there was Evil Within and what was the other thing? Wolfenstein. That was their debut in October, and they didn't hit the top 10.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think about
for
all
both those games?
For both those games, 13 and 14.
Yeah, that's the big yikes for Bethesda right there.
I said to them, that's why they keep putting out Skyrim.
That's why they keep putting out Skyrim. Yeah, well, I mean, as the weeks go by, the months go by, the years go by, I'm becoming less and less of a Bethesda fan. But I haven't played those games. I think they look really cool, like the Evil Within, that reveal or that new trailer, whatever it was.
I put in what does NPD mean, narcissistic personality disorder. I don't think that's the same company doing the video game tracking.
Could be. Like they could just have like such a big ego in their disorder that they.
I think I have NPD.
I think you do actually.
Yeah.
What was I saying? I don't know.
You were talking about Bethesda. You're being less of a
games,
right?
Evil Within 2.
Yeah, Evil Within
scales.
You know, once
Morbius, the Living Man. Big scales.
Big scales.
Naked puppet of destruction. Come on, internet.
Search like video game NPD or something.
I did.
Or don't, because it doesn't actually matter at all.
He's on the forums.
I'm trying. Okay, Evil Within. Cool. It looks like a fun game. We all thought it looked cool, but none of us bought it for whatever. Well, actually, did you buy it, Taylor?
No.
Oh, okay. That laugh. No. I wouldn't buy that shit.
It looked cool. The reason I didn't buy it was because I heard mixed things about the first one, I think, and it was tied to the first one. So I'm like, I'm out. Yeah. I thought it was like just a new. Okay, here we go. I would have actually got it because that trailer was great.
Right. I think it had a really good show at Bethesda, but it was also didn't really reveal like what you'd be playing. Like it had a really cool cinematic, very unique. But I don't actually know what the gameplay.
It's like a psychological thriller, right?
Right, but that could mean a number of things. Like I don't really know what
National Purchase Diary. That makes sense.
That does make sense.
Yeah.
National though, is that only for the States then?
I think it's for North America. I'd imagine state. Oh no, it might just be states. I don't know if they track as UK's. They may track Canada, but I'll just say it's just states then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Still important numbers, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I guess it doesn't really surprise me hugely, just because that's kind of for like a niche audience already, I guess. Yeah. Wolfenstein, I don't know.
Stein.
Wolfenstein is how it's pronounced.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. That one.
It surprised me. I know we talked about this at dinner, Jesse, and Taylor brought it has a cult following, but I just felt like it had built some momentum, and the fact that they ended their conference on that E3, I didn't think it was going to be gangbusters, but I didn't think it would not make the top 10. That's what caught me by surprise. I could see it being that 5-6 slot, but not even to make the top 10. That to me is shocking. I honestly do, because I just feel like Wolfenstein's been talked about so much these past few years, but it's cult following, but I hear people talk about it all the time. I would never get it, but...
Yeah, I honestly, I don't know. I thought it would have sold better than it did, and I totally understand why it wouldn't make it into like the top 5 or something, because there was a lot of bigger games that I predict that would outsell it.
Yeah.
But for it to not even crack the top 10 is mysterious and unfortunate at the same time.
Yeah.
I'm curious how that game will do overall, and
Yeah.
if they continue to keep pushing it forward, because they had. What was the first one? The other one that came out? Was that a couple of years ago?
Yep. Wasn't it?
Oh, 2 years ago? 2-3 years ago? Something like that?
I think it was something like that.
Yeah.
Something like that. So yeah, I mean, I wonder if they'll wait a few more years, try and like start it again.
I think they're gonna wait until there's that buzz like, when they bringing it back? When they bring it back?
Yeah.
And one time they'll just announce instead of being we're working on it. Unless who knows, Script picks up over the holiday season. We've seen games like Ghost Recon and like we were talking about Ranger C6, like games that maybe didn't blow the
It
roof
seems
off
like
at
a
the start,
game
so.
like the new ones seem like they're kind of gated toward the people who played like the original ones and put up the nostalgic value and stuff like that. Whereas my perspective on the game is that I don't know what it's doing new or unique that makes it different, and that like I haven't looked into it a whole lot. Only positive thing I hear from the game is Tyler talks about it frequently and tells me, hey, you gotta buy this game. And I actually do. I got the first one on some sale. I still haven't played it, but I'll get to it at some point.
Great game.
But yeah, that's strange. I guess we'll talk about those two first. And
Yeah, like the thing with Evil Within, I think is that what it's called?
Yep.
Evil Within.
2.
Sorry, 2.
Evil Within as well.
I'm not too surprised that didn't make top 10
Yeah.
because I feel like that's one of the games that if you played the first, then you'd be interested in getting the second one. Like it kind of, you gotta have that following. It's not being like, oh, this looks cool, I'm gonna jump into it, even though you need to play the first one.
First one was kind of mixed as well.
And I don't think the first one had a huge, like it was
No.
mixed and it didn't have like a huge following, so.
But then,
Wolfenstein.
Wolfenstein.
Mhm.
I'll just say that.
Thank
You know. But yeah, I'm kind of curious. Like at least not like number 10, right? Like I feel like
No,
9
13,
or 10
14.
spot. Like
Wow.
you said. Like I'm not surprised.
GTA sold more than both of them. Put that in perspective.
Fucking GTA, man.
No,
Dude,
that's
Rockstar.
crazy to
It's
me.
that Rockstar though.
But, yeah, I know, but
So much
still,
money.
this so many years later, the fact that they could outsell like these 2 new games, you know,
Rockstar,
nuts.
man, they're
Nutty.
giants.
And like
Titans.
GTA hasn't even taken like, I feel like it still sells for like $60-$50. Like it's
easily,
not like
yeah.
a cheap game. Like they're top selling game in the US.
That game's
history.
bringing back microtransactions, you know?
Well, they haven't done that for GTA though online yet, so.
Yeah, they do. They have shark cards. don't they?
Yeah, but at least
I see on Steam you can pay 100 bones.
I guess the other thing is though they constantly every month are still adding tons of free stuff. I guess, right? That's the thing where I think it's better where we're like something like Battlefront. It's like, well, you're not getting any free stuff.
No, that's
good. Yeah.
That's how you make a game right there.
Yeah. Hopefully they don't change that for Red Dead.
Rockstars. They are rockstars.
Mm-hmm.
Hey,
Any other thoughts on those 2 games?
as the resident Wolfenstein fan,
So I'm
Wolfenstein.
not too surprised, honestly, that
I
it
get
didn't
lost.
break
I
top
actually
10.
don't know the.
I think both of those games were like Wolfenstein much more than Evil Within. I would say it's a much bigger and well-known title.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to it, I do think they're fairly niche and have a bit smaller following.
Yeah.
And as you guys have mentioned before, a lot of the people who are going to buy these games in the first month it comes out are people who have played it already.
Yeah.
Whereas people who or maybe waiting a little bit to buy it, they'll be like, oh, like let's see how the reviews are. Or if the reviews are good, maybe I'll check out the first game first, play through that, and then buy Wolfenstein 2 later when it's on sale or something.
Bethesda also broke their new policy of not letting people review it before it came out. They did that for both games, so it's funny. With the non-bigger titles, they're like, oh yeah, drop those review, but next Skyrim or whatever.
Were the reviews, I imagine, were like decent.
Yeah, no, Wolfenstein 2
Metacritic
is actually very well reviewed.
Yeah.
Like, critically, it did incredibly well, and I think, it just has an incredible storytelling, and as an experience, it's very strong, but I think, as with, like, Bethesda's, those single-player, like, primarily single-player, big, like, not big name, but, like, big budget, FPS story games, similar to Doom almost. It is becoming more of a niche following for those games where you've got games that are focused on online, like you got Star Wars Battlefront, you have Call of Duty, you have Overwatch, PUBG is also just a huge thing now. With that kind of, the age of just those online focused games, I think it's fairly evident that you're going to see a decline in sales in these sort of single-player story-based games, especially since Wolfenstein has no multiplayer at all, and they have no plans on introducing any multiplayer.
Right.
So
it seems like a game that's gated more to those people, like the old school, like hardcore PC gamers as well.
So I think Bethesda is doing well enough in other aspects that they can pump out these games, and they can make these games for these niche followings. And I'm sure they enjoy making these games, or the developers that are working on this obviously really love making these games, and so I think they're fine even if it didn't break top 10. I think they're making more than enough to keep working on Wolfenstein games. And I haven't actually played Wolfenstein 2 yet, but depending on where the
comes out,
depending on where the narrative takes it, I could see them bringing out a Wolfenstein 3 in the next 2 or 3 years, and just kind of keeping on with that series. As far as the narrative allows them.
Did the first game have, or the recent reboot one, did that have DLC for it?
No, it didn't. It did kind of have a spin-off $20 game that it wasn't DLC, it was its own standalone thing.
Like the Death of the Outsider.
Death of the Outsider. Where it was its own standalone thing, but it tied in being a prequel to the game.
Uses the same engine and all that.
Yeah, and it ended up being a prequel that led directly into the start of the New Order, but you don't realize that.
So do you think we'll get something like that before a new Wolfenstein game?
Well, they do have DLC planned. That's going to be following just like random characters' stories. They had.
Do you think they're still going to do that?
Yep, they've got like a season pass and stuff. And you get the first. I didn't look into it too much, but they have the first one released. Whereas if you pre-order the game, you got it with the game. And it's gonna be like a mini series of kind of like spin-off webisodes, I guess, in a way.
Webisodes.
Yeah.
Shoutouts to webisodes.
So it's just gonna be like random spin-off stories of characters that may have some relation to the main story, but I don't know. They're just their own unique characters and just kind of fun stories in the battle between the Nazis and the people who don't like the Nazis. So
Wolfenstein reviewed like high 80s and Evil Within 2 with high 70s because I just averaged it because like PC gets different reviews to consoles, but so they both were in the green for Metacritic, so that's good. There's green, yellow, and red. So
I feel like.
Sorry, I thought you went already. My bad.
No, I have already got. I was just gonna throw out quickly like Evil Within. I feel like that is a game that I really want to try, and same with Wolfenstein. Like, but I feel like that's one of those things. Well, I'll wait for a collection.
Yeah.
Like 2 games bundled for like a holiday sale. You know, like that's. I don't have any like rush to play it, but it's something I wanted to try out. Especially like you said, like they're in the green for the review, so they are good games. People have said that.
People have said it.
And they wrote it down on Metacritic.
Yeah.
Fucking reviewers.
How about the other side of the top 10?
Spectrum.
Do you have nothing to say about those 2 games?
I have stuff to say.
On those 2 games?
Well, then hop in.
Then go ahead.
Welcome.
Fire away.
Welcome to the podcast.
So, I think Evil Within 2, I mean, I didn't have any really like hype or interest in them. I feel like I was just kind of expecting something else when they revealed Evil Within 2. But that being said, like, I've only heard good things. Like, ever since the first one came out, I heard like people, it wasn't great and it wasn't bad, but people really, they had enjoyment out of it. So I mean, I would say like if like you said, if they release like a bundle or something at some point, I'd be down to eventually try it out. But it's not a priority for me. I can wait. with Wolfenstein, I remember playing like Wolfenstein 3D back on the floppy disk on PC.
Oh yeah.
Yo,
That was
boys.
so good.
The big flops.
Like
memes.
fantastic. So I mean, getting like when they announced the new Colossus, it looked really interesting. I thought, I'd love to get back into Wolfenstein, so I picked up a sale of Wolfenstein: The New Order, and I think I played a little bit of it, and I got sidetracked with other games, but I want to make a point of getting back into it because it was really, really good, and I'm one of those
Not
friends
good enough
where
to continue playing it though.
it's just when you got more favorites that are pulling you away,
got stuff gripping you.
it's really, really tough.
Yeah.
But it's a game I have no regrets paying the $13 for it. I mean,
I don't mind spending $5 on it.
So I mean, I gotta.
It costs more than my Great Wall and Mr. Bean. But
I just had to skip dinner one day.
that's some big commitment.
It really did, yeah.
But it's saved on my hard drive, and I'll go back to it and give it a shot. I mean, I just gotta get through my games right now.
And watching Mr. Bean.
While I'm watching Mr. Bean and the Great Wall, I'm playing Wolfenstein: The New Order. But I mean, the new
This is how
Colossus.
you play video games? You're like a character in like a movie.
The new Colossus, though, I mean, that's definitely a game I want to play this year at some point.
It's 40. It's half off right now. So
Yep,
It's
$40
what?
on
Black
sale.
around Best Buy. It's
And
half off.
the first one's like, you're on the first one. The first one's only like $12 or something, and then the second one's
$12?
That's
$40.
one less than you
Damn.
spent for the new order.
And it's only, I think it's only like $50-something for the full season's pass with all the DLC, because that's also 50%.
And does that include the Old Blood? And the Old Blood is the prequel,
Old Blood's
right?
a standalone, but you could probably find it. It's probably like $10 right now,
Okay.
because it was a standalone. There's only $20,
The old plasma.
and on it's probably on sale right now.
And that's the prequel you said that leads up to
Yeah.
New Order?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's cool.
But you don't need to play that one. It's just a fun kind of nod to the more old school Wolfenstein games.
Yeah, no, I don't have much to say. I've already said most of the things. The thing I will say, I don't know if I'll agree with you, Ty. I don't think it'll be 2-3 years for a new Wolfenstein. I think it'll be a bit longer than that. I'm thinking more 5. It all depends on how it does next month. If it's completely out of the top 20, like at the end of the day, it's kind of what we talked about before. I still feel like, yeah, they may have fun making these games, but if they're not making a profit, it's like, I think Wolfenstein has a future. Evil Within, I don't know if that has a future. I don't know how much of a following that has. And to me, if we don't get another Evil Within, that to me is like still a bad sign for Wolfenstein because they're 13 and 14, which means their sales are pretty close, right? So that's right. We'll have to wait and see. Maybe in November with these sales, that could happen. Games like that stick around, so we'll see. Yeah, and then for the rest of the list, I was really, really surprised with Shadow of War after all we talked about microtransactions. That it shows doesn't matter, and it shows I think Battlefront's still going to sell well. I think it'll still sell better because of what happened now. But before, I was the guy waving that flag of doing the hashtag. Travis told you that would hurt Shadow of War. Hasn't really. It was number 1. It did better than the first game. The first game was not number 1 when it came out. It was like a dark horse type of game. So I'm excited to play it. I'm buying it this weekend for Black Friday because I can justify paying $40 instead of $80. I'm not going to be doing the microtransactions. I'll just play it. If it is a grindy ending, I'll just YouTube the cutscene and be like, oh, that's how this game ends. And just do side quests. That's fine with me. And then good for you, Assassin's Creed. I think that's really well. It shows that there's still a little bit of like the hype's down because I think honestly, I was kind of expecting it to do number 1. I thought it would have beat Shadow of War, but because Shadow of War, I don't think Shadow of War was that huge of a game, but apparently had a big following enough.
I feel like everyone that played Shadow of War really liked it. And like told everyone that it was
except Dylan Musk and Tyler Briggs.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Did not like it that much.
Yeah,
I felt like
I remember those two.
It was really good gameplay mechanics, but it kind of got repetitive and boring, so I just...
Fair enough.
I
thought it was.
I just didn't like the combat, and that's like
Okay.
all the game is.
Yeah, see,
That's
it's very similar to Batman.
100%
Arkham.
Arkham.
Like
I
yeah, it's
like
the
it.
exact same thing.
Yeah.
Almost,
Oh, yeah.
not really.
Yeah.
I just
When you kill off like 50
I
orcs,
don't
you
like
just feel like a
combat in a lot
boss.
of
And
games.
you're like, oh.
Yeah.
But and then honestly, selling good 3. And I know you said that like Taylor's trying to spin it. I know in Geeks Creates you're like, well, they'll get beat Odyssey, but also remember the install base on the Switch is much smaller. So I hope it would beat Odyssey. So yeah, I was surprised with Shadow of War. I'm very excited for November. Probably Call of Duty will probably be number 1, I imagine. Battlefront will be in there. I'm trying to think what else is coming out this month, but
Who knows?
yeah, Call of Duty though, and this one's reviewing a lot better than the past one, so that's good for them. So yeah, so interesting. I always like looking at the top 10 Sega trends because I wouldn't have predicted Shadow of War and I wouldn't have predicted Wolfenstein. So you never know. You never know what the trends are.
Do you know how the first Wolfenstein did? Because I feel like it wasn't...
I have to go.
Yeah, I feel like that one didn't do that well either, and we still got the second one.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I just feel like Wolfenstein.
Mhm.
So. Yeah.
Any thoughts on the rest of the list, guys?
No, you made good points. They're almost top 3.
Taylor, you want anything shout out about Origins? It's a
You
good
know,
sign for them being number 2.
That,
Could
I
have
think
been lower.
that's absolutely fantastic. They're number 2.
Despite
I've gotten almost. There's so much to do, especially like with the Trial of the Gods events. Like we just like wrapped up Anubis, and now they have Sorbek, is this giant like alligator
Classic
god of
Sorbet.
water.
Isn't that a type of yogurt?
Sorbet, but close. But you know, there's
he
just
knows the yogurt and the god.
yeah. There's
I know my
there's
yogurt, Taylor.
absolutely so much to do in that game. It's beautiful, and
You
it's
don't need to
actually
review the game, just about the sales, you know?
the sales.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised. You know, it's expected.
Just because you have had
Yeah.
2 podcasts
I'll be
to talk
honest,
about
I'm
this
a little bit surprised
review.
it's number 2. I mean, I understand that compared to the previous games that weren't as well as Assassin's Creed has been, I would say.
Egypt, man.
I think, like, I've heard great things about Origins just being an absolutely wonderful game compared to previous Assassin's Creed games. And so, you know, good for them.
I just thought after that shit movie that no one would go and buy the game.
Well, I had a year off, remember? They were smart.
I won't lie, I'm not surprised. Like, at the end of the day, like, I would have loved to have
Classic.
seen it as number 1, but being number 2, I mean, there's still so much flack that people are saying, like, I'm boycotting this game, it's Ubisoft, and at the end of the day, the game itself, it'll stand the test of time as probably being one of the best Assassin's Creed games next to Assassin's Creed 2, 100%. Like, it is absolutely
Assassin's Creed 1?
fantastic.
No, 2 is so much better. Oh,
Deuce.
I think it'll just take some people. I think give it like another month or so. I think eventually those people that are being immature will come around and just like, you know, I'll actually play it and realize, you know,
think they
there's
were
some
being
changes.
immature, you know, maybe they
how's
have
number 3 again?
very
Odyssey.
they have lots of differences with Ubisoft, and they have a good reason for not buying their game.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, I feel like if the game actually has displayed the proper changes that it needed to make
what
it
if
evolve.
Ubisoft as a company doesn't, and they're boycotting Ubisoft and not EA?
What are you talking about?
I don't know.
Getting very deep. I feel like, do you have a...
Should be on
a
Geeks.
thing?
Just because I'm just saying, just because someone boycotts a game doesn't mean they're mature. That's all I'm saying. That's my point.
No, and you make a fair
You
point
took
because
Thank you.
there's...
That's all
I have a friend who actually, he would love to play Origins, but he boycotts it because
Ruben.
Ubisoft. yeah.
I'm fairly similar.
But yeah, no, I mean, I'm happy it's number 2, so it's good.
Yeah, good for them.
Last
It's almost the best. Almost.
Last game news I have is obviously we were around when it happened, but Battlefront had a big catastrophe of like loot boxes. Yeah, whatever it is. I don't care at this point. Loot boxes.
Like a curtsy catastrophe.
Yep.
You know, that's what I said. What was I gonna say? I don't know.
Curtsy catastrophe.
They got got a lot of flack for the loot boxes, most downvoted Reddit post, and the review got scathing reviews from fans. If you look at Metacritic, I think it's the lowest rated game of all time. And then EA a couple of days before said, "Oh, we're gonna take out the loot boxes, microtransactions for a while," and they said temporarily, but like it looks like it could be longer. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a good thing. I'm interested more in the sales aspect. I don't know. I'll be buying it maybe Boxing Day. I want to wait and see how much longer this pans out. I think it's a good thing, but at the end of the day, if this kept up, I wasn't gonna buy it anyway. So maybe they got a sale. I think it was good. I think it'll be interesting to see what happens with Battlefront 3, and I think people that take this as a victory, it is a victory, but you also gotta know your limits because it's the same thing as DC. People are threatening the writers and this and that. I'm gonna come to your home. Again, it's just a video game. Just don't buy it. It's not that important. If you hate that there's loot boxes, go play Star Wars Battlefront 2 on the Xbox. You know,
Oh,
like
yeah,
it's
classic.
there. You don't. No one's saying you have to buy it. I understand. Oh, this is a game I really want, but just take that approach and look what happened. You know, but you don't have. You can speak out, but you don't gotta get bound up. But I think it was a good move. I think it's smart of them, and whether it was them or Disney, whoever decided to do it, I think it was smart, and we'll see if it stays true to that. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean the loot boxes seemed like they were kind of just tacked on there to, I don't know. That's what other games have been doing. Like you look at Overwatch, they're doing it, but it's maybe they didn't realize that. Okay, well you can do it in Overwatch, but it's just for cosmetic stuff, so it doesn't make a difference. Or look at like Hearthstone. Well, that's just like what card games do, and yeah, it's flawed. But that's what card games are, so you accept that, I guess. But
I think
they kind of just threw it in there for the sake of trying to make an extra buck rather than actually being like a part of the game.
I think the biggest issue with the loot boxes that a lot of people I've seen on the internet have is that they're directly tied to it being pay to win.
Yeah.
And then sure, there's obviously the insane grind time to get to unlocking heroes, but there's a lot of controversy around the star cards that are straight up direct bonuses, such as like 10% more damage and it's related things like that. And if you spent money, you have this clear advantage over other people.
Yeah.
And then also the amount of time required to unlock everything that is in the base game or money to spend was just absolutely absurd. So the fact like those practices are just abysmal and terrible for the industry. So I think they deserved all the flack they got, but it's definitely a step in the right direction. But we'll see if they what they do in the coming months to see if they can continue making those steps, or if they're only making the steps so that it sells more, and then they'll revert back to how they initially planned to do it.
I got a question for that. Did they release the game and then a couple of days later they took the loot boxes out, or the loot
No,
boxes
it was
out
like
before
a
the game
first play sort of thing. So people who pre-ordered the game, I think,
Ultimate Edition
or they got a certain edition.
Deluxe.
They got access to like a weekend early of only those people playing the game.
So was there like potentially people that spent like hundreds of dollars on the loot boxes?
Well,
and
Taylor,
then,
he had the game before.
People could have spent money before it was released, and then
I wonder how that'll work. Getting their money back or like something.
I think they just keep everything and they just can't spend any more money.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But yeah,
that makes sense.
It's crazy. One thing I'd like to mention is if you do disagree with these practices, instead of being like, oh, I'm just not going to buy games that don't do this, also make sure you're supporting developers that don't do it and buy and actually spend the money on those games, because that way, even if companies like EA are making enough money to keep doing that, other developers are also making money to keep making games that you enjoy, such as CD Projekt Red with The Witcher, and companies such as that.
Yeah, which they just came out and said that that's not going to be any of so like their whatever it's called, Cyberpunk 2077, their next big game.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that.
Make sure you support those companies when you can, because they're what keeping the industry.
Well, and even then, like you brought Overwatch and I still brought up GTA. There's a way to do those things right, and I think even you can support those ones that do it the way that, okay, we understand microtransactions, they're going to be a new thing, it's like DLC, developers got to find a new way to make money because games are expensive to make. So I think there's a place for microtransactions in the game world, they'll figure out, but they just got to do it right, and I think Battlefront just went too far over the line where and it's granted, this is new territory for lots of console games, right, that are not just, like you said, card games, like we saw it in Shadow of War, a single player game. What do you think that? You know, like people are experimenting, and sometimes you're going to experiment wrong.
And their businesses trying to experiment where they can make the most amount of money. So they got to kind of balance that between what the consumers want and what they want. So it'll be interesting if it goes forward. And did you guys hear about? I think it was in Belgium.
Yeah,
they were
gambling.
They were doing some research into it, and they had some people look into it, and they're seeing if they can classify microtransactions and loot boxes as gambling in video games.
But you shouldn't want that as a gamer, though. You shouldn't want that because it will like just stifle creators and developers, and then you're gonna just get the reverse of, oh, we're just not gonna release this game here. Sorry. So like I think that getting the law involved in that.
I think.
I don't know. Just don't. It's not like it is. I know the point of it being gambling, but just don't make it gambling. Just don't, because lots of people. I can't remember where. There's some. I don't know if it was England or whatnot. It was the same thing. People were trying to start a petition to get that going somewhere else. It's like you don't want to do that. The second you involve them, it's gonna get really. It's gonna get really hard.
It's not. I don't think it's a good direction for the industry, but. If you can manage to self-regulate that sort of thing, that's ideal. But you just gotta hope companies don't take it too far, because at some point, if they do, maybe the industry has to go through down to kind of find the right medium.
Yeah.
Which would suck, but that might be the path it takes. So it'll be interesting to see how that develops.
Now, Taylor, you were referring earlier that you had something else to rant about. I imagine.
Did you go? Did you want to talk about it?
No.
I'll quickly say my thing.
I thought you did because you asked a lot of questions. That's why.
Well, like I followed it on Reddit, so I got all.
How could you not, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then it's like, I think it was cool that they actually like listened to everyone. Like obviously you can voice your opinions on it, but like remain civil. Don't like put out death threats like the DC fans or whatever to the critics. But like I really don't have much to say other than that.
I mean, as someone who hasn't played the game, it seems like even with like these pay-to-win like microtransactions, it seems like, you know, it wasn't that big of a deal, and like still the better player is gonna win in like a scenario. But I think the problem is when you have people who are of like an even skill, and you have two people, and one of them has the microtransactions and one doesn't, and now that guy is just gonna win, and that's that's in those kinds of games. Those are like the best interactions. That's where people have the most fun. Is when you're playing someone who's like equally as good as you and have a nice fair back and forth battle. But if you have, if you just have someone decked out because they decide to spend more money, that ruins it. Even if the best player still wins, I don't know, it kind of ruins the middle ground where most people are going to be at anyway, especially if you have like a good ranking system where you're getting matched against people who have an equal skill. But now that kind of just goes out the window because you can't account for how much money someone's going to spend really, unless you have lobbies for these people spent $40 because that's just not going to work at all. That's just stupid.
The VIP lobby.
You can get an answer though one day. You never know. Like, what was your spending limit, and then you go in there. Like, that might be the way, right?
That's
if you want to play with people.
Fucking awful.
It does, but that might be the way it happens.
In their AMA, they did say they would take into their matchmaking would take into account the inventory that you had along with your MMR or whatever your rating is, or however their system works. And
probably like
take
0.001%.
But I feel like that's still very difficult because
I think that's bullshit.
Matchmaking systems and the way the rating technologies are at now, it's hard enough to get a full game of all equally skilled people. Having to incorporate another variable into it would just, I don't think they can accurately do it anyways. So it's just creates a big mess that it's Battlefront right now.
Taylor, take it home.
So EA is a company. I know there's a lot of beefs with that. I don't have any problems with EA because my experiences with it is just playing great games at the end of the day. Now, I know many people say that they've been cheesed or conned or whatever.
No one has said they've been cheesed. That word doesn't fit in the scenario.
Someone probably has
in the wrong direction. I like taking words and giving them like a new spin, but that...
I disagree with you on that, Dylan. A hard disagree.
Cool. Taylor, go ahead.
So I mean, I'll give it an unbiased perspective here. I mean, Battlefront coming out of EA, I feel like, the game is beautiful, it delivers, and it is an incredible Star Wars game. They managed to deliver on everything, I would say, that people were really asking for from the first one. At least everything, like, from people in my perspective, like a campaign, more expanded, like, multiplayer, different heroes, different maps, and the space combat, all that kind of stuff. And more split-screen modes, it's fantastic. Now, I feel like, yes, they did do they created some issues for themselves. Yes, it took a long time to unlock certain characters, and they rectified that. People still complain. Yes, I understand there's the whole loot box thing and the progression system, which kind of creates a rift. That being said, I mean, if someone upgrades or gets enough scrap to upgrade their cards themselves, then that's good for them. Or they could go out and they could buy a loot box for like $5 or whatever, and then they could just be given the star card right away. At the end of the day, I've never had any problems. I've gone up against players and I get to see their tiers of star cards, and they are maxed to the fullest, but I still kill them. They don't even know what the hell they're doing, it seems like, half the time. Like, it just comes down to, are you a good player or not? I can go up against someone who has like a 10% increase on damage. Oh, I'm gonna slap on my star card that gives me 10% increase to my hull, and then another one for my shield or something, just to counteract that and change how you play. And I feel like, as gamers, it's just about improvising and adapting, not going onto the fucking computer and complaining and being very rude about it. And I feel like, all I'm seeing now is them trying to rectify the situation, and when they post certain things, all I see is flack. And it's just really, really rude shots and everything. And I think, you know what, this is so inappropriate and called for. Are you fucking DC fanboys or something? Like, it gets me so mad because I've put in so many hours in Star Wars Battlefront 2 now, and I mean, as soon as I got home with that game, I beat the campaign. I didn't put the controller down once. I've been playing non-stop multiplayer.
You should take breaks every hour to rest your eyes. It's recommended. But...
It's recommended, but not mandatory. I honestly, I have had no issues with this game, and at the end of the day, if you choose to boycott this game because you have a beef with the developers and you just don't feel like it should earn your full like $80, then that's respectable. I understand that they've had some bad practices, and I completely agree. Why not? But at the end of the day, I can die happy knowing I played a fantastic Star Wars game. And, it's not like we have a variety of Star Wars games right now. I get that EA has the exclusivity to the license right now, and there's probably some problems going on with that. But that being said, Star Wars Battlefront 2 for me is an absolute perfect addition to the Star Wars franchise for video games. The loot boxes, they don't faze me as a gamer. I can deal with it. I can handle it. If you can't, then, you know, just trade games. Obviously, it's not your cup of tea. I mean, this has been demonstrated in Call of Duty for the longest time, but I have not seen huge uproars in that. Margaret, and Call of Duty is much more competitive and serious.
They're not
kind of
Star Wars
community.
fans.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, they're not Star Wars fans, and this is a game that has Star Wars attached to it, which is a big franchise. I just think, you know, you guys gotta fucking calm down. Seriously, let it just sit where it is. The game is fantastic in its own way, and they're trying to rectify the fucking situations. Let them fix it, and stop complaining. You guys are purposely looking for something wrong, and you guys are literally, not only are you just taking a shot at EA, but you're just like, oh, you're just putting the fact aside that, you know, this game is fucking beautiful, and it's fantastic, and you're just attacking EA, like EA does horrible things, and they're bad, you know, oh, I'm not gonna buy this game because it's EA. What a horrible fucking reason! Jeez Louise!
Well, the other thing is too, I do feel like there's some people like myself that I'm the same as you. I didn't really care too much about the loot boxes or not because I've done games. I just ignore it. I'm not the greatest Star Wars Battlefront player, so I'm gonna get killed a lot already. For me, it was more about the unlocking of the heroes and was like that, like paying that. That's when I was like, I don't know. But I do think there's a lot of people dogpiling on because there's people that I do feel are in the comment section that were never ever gonna buy this game. You know, that had no interest whether these loot boxes were here or not. It was just the newest trend to be like, hey, we're gonna shit on Battlefront right now. And I do feel like that is happening because I feel similar to you. Like loot boxes, it didn't really bug me. I was like, well, that's kind of where we're heading. I still think they weren't doing it the greatest, but I would have bought it. I still plan on buying this game. I've said Boxing Day is when my plan is because I just, you know, I like to see where it's still going. Now I don't think they're gonna go back to like, hey, it takes like 60 hours to unlock everything because I just want that shit. I just want to see. I just want to play as Darth Vader and chop some people's heads off. I don't care if I'm number one in the world. So
yeah, I mean, it definitely like with the reduction on to unlock the heroes like Vader and Luke. I mean, I got Vader my first night, and Luke I got him the next morning easy.
All paying.
I mean,
only $300.
Yeah,
fucking so worth it.
Only 2 credit cards later.
Honestly, like I feel like you probably love playing as Kylo Ren. He's so much freaking fun.
Yeah, I know.
But I mean,
I've resisted the urge not to buy it at full price.
Honestly, like at this point, like just wait for Boxing Day. I mean, it'll be well worth the wait. But I mean, I don't think you'll have any problems.
Have you bought it?
No, I haven't gotten it yet.
Are you gonna buy it?
Yeah, I'm waiting for a sale.
Okay, I just feel like you're lying.
Well, I'll buy it. You tricked me into buying it, and I'm not getting it.
It's if you have a good PC, you can get it on the Green Bay Gaming.
Green Man.
Well, I don't have a good PC.
Green
so
Bay.
Impact Gaming.
It's on sale right now?
On Green.
Well, I gotta get it for PS4.
Yeah.
If you get it, I will get it.
I have other friends too that are getting it for PS4. So.
Oh, friends.
I'm so down. So.
Friends other than us.
That was a good rant.
Thank you.
Well done. I was lying.
Any other gaming news?
Didn't just say fucking a lot of times.
Yeah.
Because now I know what you're.
That was more
trying to
simple.
say.
You
I
calmed
had to
down.
tone it down. That's why I want you guys to go first because I was.
You were trying to
built up.
emulate how the DC fans rationalize.
How do you feel? No, you got it all out.
I
You must
feel good, but you know,
lighter.
those DC fans are still.
Yeah.
I think you gotta find another name for them because not all of this DC. Maybe like DC fuckboys, you know.
There you
DC
go.
fuckboys.
There you go.
Fuck you, DC fuckboys.
Any other gaming news for the episode 158?
Yeah, go ahead, Taylor.
There you go.
No, I was just gonna say that I got the DLC for Horizon Zero Dawn.
Did you?
Yeah, I've only managed to put like an hour and a half or so into it, but it's cool so far. It's just more Horizon, which is
How's
cool
that
for me.
snow?
The snow, lots of snow, lots and lots of snow.
How much was it? 20.
I think it's $20, but it was also like cheaper if you got PS Plus, and I got like the free trial for that. So I think I paid like $15 or something like that.
You think it's worth the price? Because I love Horizon Zero Dawn.
I don't know. I mean, I'm only an hour and a half into it.
Fair enough.
Honestly, I feel like I probably could have just started the game anew and like would still get my fix. But the first like time you encountered the new machine, like he just fucked me up, dude. He's goddamn strong.
I love
So
Horizon.
I'm excited to see what else they come up with. Yeah, it's cool. More. It's pretty much exactly what I was expecting so far. So yeah. I mean, I'll talk about it more when I've played more, but so far so good.
Taylor?
Call of Duty World War II. You know, the direction they headed in, absolutely perfect direction.
Perfect.
I think the multiplayer is great. Getting like the old like Car 98 and PPSH, all these old school guns back.
PPSH.
World of War.
It's super cool.
World at War 2.
It's just, it feels very much like, for me it was different because it was like no more jetpacks or wall running, which, you know, at the end of the day I'm happy with that. I think that, you know, back in World War II again, like it's just, it feels good. World War II?
Can you buy them? In
Dude, there was a lot of wall running going on.
Have you ever
in
played
World War II.
Wolfenstein? Jetpacks are everywhere. Come on, learn your history.
How's World War II, alright?
It is.
You know, I think the game is great. The campaign is fantastic. I had so much fun
Did you
connecting
beat
with the characters. No.
Oh,
You say
wow.
collecting the character?
Connecting.
Oh, connecting.
I like to collect the characters.
You get them in loot boxes.
Nice.
But no, it's fun. I'm so excited to see where they're gonna go next. I think a good reset like this, following kind of like the Battlefield trend, was
Same
what
with
the fans
Assassin's
wanted.
Creed.
A reset? What do you mean by reset?
Yeah,
Go
yeah.
back to
They
World
went
War.
so far into the future that
Yeah.
they just go all the way back.
Yeah, but okay.
I think so. It hasn't been since
Yeah.
360
I feel like
era
because
since they had
it's still been like a Call of Duty game every year. I don't really see it as a reset.
I feel like it's a different game though from like wall riding and jetpacking though.
It is. Plus, like,
What the fuck's wrong with wall riding, man?
Yeah.
What's all this hate for
If you
wall
want wall riding
riding?
jetpack, play Deadfall. Deadfall, great game.
honestly, any
don't
Call of
want
Duty
it.
game that's backed by, that has the like
Don't play
sledgehammer attached to it, I will invest in, because to this day, like, Advanced Warfare is my favorite Call of Duty. Its campaign was
Who
fantastic.
made Ghosts?
Not Sledgehammer.
That was,
Yeah.
that was like one of my that was
Yeah.
among my favorites.
Yeah.
That was the first ever game I had PS4.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was episode 158. I can't remember what was I going to title it. What did you say at the beginning of this cast?
Borderline upset.
Borderline upset.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Borderline Upset.
Thank you for tuning in to Borderline Upset. Taylor, quickly give us the links because we have to go record something after this.
We're gonna
But
record
quickly.
something.
Something
Well,
secret.
yeah, with your internet connection or your data, because we are data worthy, but if you want to save the money, you can shout out your data money towards us. That doesn't make much sense, but, you know, roll with it anyways, because half the time we don't make sense, but we always make sense. That's what doesn't make sense at GeekVerse Podcast. I don't know where I'm going with this, but, you know,
you're just taking
find us
us
in the search bar. In the search bar, ladies and gentlemen, you gotta type in on Google probably, but on Google you go in that search bar and you type in Facebook, and on the Facebook search bar you type in GeekVerse Space Podcast. And you're gonna find all this awesome stuff. You're gonna find this and many more reviews, like the awesome Justice League review you guys just dished out. I mean, that's fantastic.
We big dish.
Good job,
We
you
really
guys.
tipped the
Battlefront
scales.
2,
Oh, I was gonna
Battlefront
say
2,
that.
absolutely, and you're gonna find tons of other awesome upcoming stuff, which Travis knows much more about.
Which we already promoted at the beginning of the podcast. Just go to geekverspodcast.com. You can find our video links as far as YouTube. Please subscribe there. And for SoundCloud, iTunes, Podbay. You know what? If you like what we do here, go over and give us a positive review. You know, we deserve that positive review. You know, we got some couple DC fans not giving us positive reviews on DC
fuckboys.
on DC fuckboys, right? On Podbay, and you know what? Have our Patreon. If you got $1, spare $1, just send in your backpack for years. You're waiting to
On
go
your
to
mantle.
Scandia.
We could use
Anyway,
that dollar to
Mantle.
make a new show. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
a cool idea.
What we're recording after this, you could get early. What it is, it's a secret. You only know on Patreon. So thank you very much for tuning in. We'll be back next week. Star Wars Force Awakens commentary track, and I promise you, it is not boring.
Adios, amigos.
Later, nerds.